Hello, hello, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Midday Market Monitor. How's everybody doing today? SoFi concerns future dilution. I don't know about any of that. I don't have insider information. However, I have, well, not insider information, but I have customer information. I got reached out to by someone that wants to remain anonymous, and they ended up sending me a report saying, I'll just read it out. I was surprised to get a SoFi credit card $10 a month email. I definitely do not fit into what we thought was going to be an abuser of the card. I have good payment history, and I've had the card basically since it launched a couple years ago. And I don't use the card as much as I did the last 2 years, but I still spend roughly $5,000 to $10,000 a year on the card with good payment history over 800 FICO. I said, that's really shocking, but can you send me some actual information on this? I want to verify. He ends up sending me his FICO score. He ends up sending me the email that he received, and he ended up sending me his spending that he does on the card, and he has 820 FICO score, received the email. So I wanted to go do some due diligence and run through this. And essentially, I reached out to the person that told me that this was for abusers, and I was like, okay, well, what's going on here? Because this guy's clearly not an abuser of the card. If SoFi ends up turning into, okay, so Frank said same. So Frankie, can I ask you a question? I want to ask you a question. In fact, Frankie, if potentially maybe even I could call you or bring you up on stage, I want to ask you, because I need you to answer like back and forth here. But my understanding, Frankie, let me know in chat. If you receive, when did you sign up for this card? And let me know if you were extremely early to have the SoFi Unlimited 2% card. Because my understanding now is that there was a small subsector of people who were very early to this card, and this card was issued by a different institution. And that this institution is not nice to work with. And there's no real way for them to essentially deal with this card. They can't close them down. They can't do anything with them. They can't so they're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let me know, Frankie. I'm looking for your message here. But if he doesn't get back to us, then that's fine. Yeah, my assumption is that they're going to reissue the card. But yeah. Missing the stream live today. Work is pretty busy. Just wanted to drop by and say hi. Bob, thank you for doing so, my friend. Hopefully work's not too painful. Get through it. Come back later on. We're going to talk about you behind your back. Okay. I have the exact opposite. I use the card all the time for a few years. No email, no $10 fee, good credit, and all that. Of course, there's a potential that you have had the card for a long time and did not receive the email. But I've received 2 messages now of people saying, Tanner, I am not an abuser. And they're showing me all of this information, and yet they're still receiving these $10 a month things. So I honestly got very angry, because the last thing that I want to see, and it's also the timing of it, because I don't think that many people were very happy with the current SoFi Plus offering. Well, the current one was awesome. The direct deposit, everything else. Then you can kind of compete. Hey, do I want to spend $5 a month, $50 a year versus Robinhood, or would direct deposit or something like this with the, potential to spend $10 a month if you don't have direct deposit? My understanding from this as well, from talking with some people that are much closer to SoFi than even I am, is that they just, with $10 a month, they have so much potential to offer you insane products. Okay. So that the current offering for SoFi Plus at $10 a month is not what they want to have, let's say, a year from now. That they're really going to ramp up the benefits and show you that that $10 a month is really, really worth it. They're going to continue to show more and more offerings. Okay, so it's not just about the APY, it's about everything else that they're going to bring alongside that. But still, that put a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And then after that, the $10 a month unlimited card was sort of the, I guess, nail in the coffin for people that believe that, hey, SoFi is turning into the exact bank that people had just left. That upsets me, you know? And you don't feel this from Robinhood, but yet Robinhood had still had their controversies in the past as well with taking away the buy button. And so there can be these times of hardship, and it doesn't necessarily cement a company in their exact future. My understanding is SoFi is still trying to find out their credit card future, and it's not nearly as successful as, you know, what they've been doing on the personal loan side, home loan side, checking accounts, and all of this. So I don't know. We will see, but it's not changing my stance for this year. I don't think that an individual card affects a year for SoFi. My worry is the mindset of SoFi trying to, you know, pick margin over their mission statement too early. Every company does eventually, where they end up taking advantage of their, you know, consumer moat, and then they end up ramping up take rates, and this ends up hurting reputation over time. But at that point, they're already a mega $100 billion company, and no one cares. But SoFi at 13 million or however many millions of members that they currently have, it's too early, especially if you want to get to 50 million members. You're not getting to 50 million members with these new type of offerings that are very reminiscent of the exact Wells Fargo's and these sort of banks that people had just left to come to SoFi for, right? There's been a lot of customers that I've heard that have graduated away from Chime and have gone to SoFi. They're not doing that for a $10 a month card. Like I said, it's a subset of users. And everyone, Frankie in chat, did not step up to the plate. But if there are people who had received a $10 a month, you know, card or an email, ask them, and hopefully this gets out, how long have you been a SoFi Plus user for? If the answer is, I've been there since the beginning, then that can be the answer. That they were initially using a certain provider that is not favorable for them to work with, and they're not seeing any benefit. And it's just making all those people unprofitable. I mean, the way you're wording it, big bad bank behavior, it sounds a little, but it is big bad bank behavior. I know that's like not a lot of money for SoFi, but that's not like, that kills the 2%. You know, you have to spend a lot before you can even get past that $10 a month that people just don't want to have to do. Why would they offer more later on and not do it now? I think it's more partnerships, stuff like this. Like you have to build, you know, why didn't they offer a lot of their products earlier on? It takes time to build products. If they're going to be partnerships and solutions, like, you know, my partnership with Fiscal AI, it's like, well, okay, you have to, you know, get those contracts signed, and like, they can't just put, like, they have to work on that. But Wells Fargo, by the way, I wanted to talk on this too, because this is, on the contrary, see, nothing's black and white. And sometimes people want me to just give you guys an answer. Hey, this is the best company, this is the worst company. But I'm going through and looking at a bunch of different stuff that makes me feel differently about different things. So I've been seeing this happen over time where, well, this is Wells Fargo's version of it. This just came through. But, JP Morgan just recently did this and all this. But starting March 1st of 2026, we're expanding the ways that, they're changing the fees. So service fees going from $10 a month to $15 a month. You can avoid this if you're a large customer, but for the customers that are, not wanting to just maintain a $5,000 balance, you're essentially out of luck. And that's a 50% increase in the monthly fee, which for a lot of you guys is nothing. But, that's why Chime has a potential to continue to grow over time, because there's people that just feel like, hey, you know what? You're benefiting severely from me giving you my deposit. You're making more money than ever. And now you're also asking me to pay you to keep my money at your institution. But for Wells Fargo, they are actually losing money on the people that have less than $5,000, and that it's just not profitable for them. And they do not, like, for real, they do not care about the small end consumer. None of the big banks do. Okay. It's pure dollars and cents for them. The marketing is nothing. They don't care about you. And so that's why they're ramping up. I think Jamie Dimon has been very clear about it, that they just can't service the low end consumer. Chime, SoFi, Robinhood, these are fintechs built to be fintechs. They don't have branches. They don't have a lot of the extra services that you would find at big banks. And what that does is allow the cost to serve to be way, way lower. I think Chime actually sports about a 20% cost to serve to what the big banks actually offer. But whenever you do that, you can offer 0 monthly servicing fees. And that builds up user bases pretty quickly. Okay. Tanner, just make an X post. Honestly, I suck on X. I can't ever put my thoughts into words. And so I stutter and do all this, but at least you guys can sort of put it all together in your brain and figure out what to say. But whenever it comes to me making an X post, I for real just can't put my thoughts into words. I exclusively write all my thoughts in disgusting bullet points on Notion that would just be hard for anyone to follow. And it doesn't make for any good reading material. Ask Steve to do it. Well, yeah, Steve can do it. He can go right ahead. I like SoFi. The transactions are very fast. Yeah. I mean, it's a great solution. I'm not questioning that. I think that their growth in Q4 and honestly all through 2026 is going to be great. But some of the moves that they've made with the credit cards, I think, are going to just need to be redesigned. The SoFi Essentials card and some of these tools are just who is that even designed for? You come out with a Essentials card that's a real credit card, and then you come out with zero benefits, zero cashback, zero anything, which is supposed to be for people with little credit history. And then after that, you come out with a $10 a month secured card with extremely high 5% grocery spend. It's what are we talking about? Those seem conflicting to me. Okay. They could chill on the dilution too. Well, that part I don't care nearly as much about. I think that, as Andrew Jeffrey put it, they're being opportunistic with the price of their stock. And do you think that with that dilution that they can end up growing faster than the dilution? And every year that they've been a public company, that's been very true. So I saw people say, hey, they're going to go buy back stock, or we hope them to go buy back stock. It's like, do you think that they just raised $1.6 billion so then they can take $1.6 billion and go buy stock? Like, I don't know. Are they just throwing anything to see what sticks? Well, I mean, a little bit. That's what Robinhood does, and they iterate very fast. Um, are they trying to get rid of credit cards and shift to personal revolving lines of credit? Maybe. Well, I don't think so because they've went from one credit card to now offering 4 different credit cards. That doesn't seem like a pivot away from credit cards. But I do know that that team has been um, not at the performance that they want it to be. Okay. Okay. Speaking of which, though, let's pivot away from SoFi just for now, and let's move a little bit into some other names like Nvidia. By the way, like the best gift you could ever give me, a hat. I freaking love an Nvidia hat. So happy. It's my new favorite hat. All right, I'm over that. But in terms of new potential customers for Nvidia, well, there's a lot, essentially. XAI being probably the most prominent one with the recent $20 billion raise, which Nvidia is named as a strategic partner. And all the comments that have come out of Jensen's mouth recently has been only like extremely positive things about Elon. And Elon, vice versa, has said very great things about Jensen. So their relationship is good. And if Elon had something bad to say about Jensen, I mean, you guys know Elon. He would say it. He doesn't say anything like that. That being said, you can see from this article that was actually just recently posted yesterday, China may greenlight NVIDIA H200 chip purchases this quarter. Demand for NVIDIA hardware remains strong, and Alibaba and ByteDance have privately indicated interest in ordering more than 200,000 H200 units each. Now, that actually seems more closely to the size that ByteDance has talked about previously, but Alibaba, that does look a little bit smaller of an order. So we will see what that also means. And they also said that Jensen wanted them to pay upfront and in full. So, we'll have to see how those orders actually get done. Maybe that's why for Alibaba, it's closer to 200,000 GPUs rather than something that could be much larger of a purchase, is because they do need in full payments. Okay. But yeah, I was watching Amit's show earlier, and there was a lot of people like there's sort of a sentiment going around that NVIDIA is dead money. It's you kind of have to put it into perspective. Like whenever we're watching the markets and you see names like Open Door, Apply Digital, Better Homes, Kratos, and ASTS, and Rocket Companies, and like all these names. Oklo actually did see a large deal with Meta today, so this one should be up. But you see all of these extremely high beta names with extremely high price to sales, potentially no earnings, and they're flying. And that is not anchor basis, but almost like a comparison bias, right? I said basis. I should have said bias. My apologies. It's not an anchor bias. It's more of a comparison bias. That people are getting upset at NVIDIA stock because there's other names, extremely small companies as well, that are moving very quickly. But at the end of the day, we're seeing more and more orders for NVIDIA products, and in orders that were not baked into their future guidance at all. China's expected to see zero, big fat zero in earnings. H200 chips in the hundreds of thousands is all additive to what our expectations are going into 2026 or fiscal year 27. Okay, so whenever we look at that $500 billion forward guidance, which if you compare that to Wall Street, is not even freaking close to what they're expecting. They're expecting much less than what Jensen and Colette and all of these people have continuously continued to reiterate that they're going to do 500 billion plus the XAI deal, plus the Humane deal, plus Anthropic's deal, plus the ChatGPT deal. So, there is a potential that if they do see that growth and it's, materialized, that this is going to grow so much faster than even Wall Street is expecting. That's the hope. Okay. If that continues to happen, how low are we going to keep this stock? Like I heard, Amit say, hey, well, what's the possibility that this stock stays down at 10% rates? It's like, okay, well, if they do see that 500, potential $1 billion over the next 5 quarters and they start doing essentially equal to or slightly above the revenue of Google, what are we talking about? like, how much are you, wanting to continue to, hold this price down? Are there going to be like Walmart and e-commerce names that we would rather hold than Nvidia? Is there, would we rather just hold software names because the not guarantee, but high likelihood of recurring revenue? I don't know. And what's funny is like this company was at 212. Like there is appetite for this, But for me, this is like one of the clearest names where I can just buy and look at the earnings, like quarter after quarter. You know what I said in my past live stream? So we have a live stream before this for the growth investing members only at noon, right? So we do an hour and then we jump into this one. So what I was talking about is like, as long as we continue to see step changes, like large step changes in the total performance of the difference between Blackwell to Vera Rubin, there's going to be new orders of those chips. If you're finding 30x, 20x, 10x, 5x performance between the, year after year. And by the way, they're annual changes in their chips. So from Hopper to Blackwell to Vera Rubin to Vera Feynman, that's a 4-year stint. Is it going to be next GTC where we start talking about Vera Feynman Ultra, which is going to be in the back half of this year or, for 2026? And then when do we start discussing and announcing Vera Feynman? When do we start announcing my little thing that I said, the Vera Manson? Maybe that's the next one. They're not going to use that name, but, Jensen, I'd be honored. Let's do a little swip swap, Jensen. I'll have if I have a boy, I'll name him Jensen. If I have a girl, I'll name him, or I'll name her Colette or Nvidia. Is Nvidia a nice female name? Or maybe I'll name her like NVL. If it was Elon's kid, he'd name her NVL or Vera Rubin NVL 144. That's not bad. Guys, stop saying Lisa. Vera's good. Bitmine is a better girl's name. I'm sorry, what? Dude, he's got a kid's, like his kid's name is like X86 one. Like, I don't even remember what it is. Not X86. That's the, it's different. It's not Papa Mayo, it's Alpa Mayo, but that might be a good name. Okay. You guys are funny, man. Some of you guys are, I love it. What about Sophia? Okay. That being said, let's go ahead and have a listen to this recent CNBC call. I think this was from yesterday, but announcing the XAI's $20 billion funding round, which Nvidia was named as their strategic investor. I wonder why. I wonder if they're going to take that $20 billion and go purchase some chips. Who knows?
Another massive funding round in AI with Elon Musk's XAI just closing an upsized $20 billion round. For today's Tech Check, Kate Rooney is back. She has more on why this one is different than the rest. First of all, welcome back, Kate. It's so good to see you, and congrats on second baby.
Thank you, Sarah. It's great to see you. Great to be back. And this funding round we're talking about, it is similar to other mega rounds we've seen from OpenAI and Anthropic, but gotta say, XAI is different for a few reasons. So for one, Musk's world is extremely insular. So if you look at the cap table for this round, it's mostly his inner circle, notably Balor's Antonio Gracias, close friend, Tesla board member. You've got Ron Barron, Fidelity with pretty deep ties to Musk as well, and Emirati and Qatari wealth funds. Those I'm talking to say this group doesn't underwrite in a traditional way when you think about it. It's not the near-term revenue goals. It's more about muscle memory for this group and conviction in Musk's ability to execute. So one person telling me XAI, they don't really go out and publicly fundraise like you see in Silicon Valley. You compare that to OpenAI, Anthropic. Those rounds are a knife fight, as one person told me, widely known when they're out raising, and it is.
Just look at the size of these fundings. Like capital raised to date, 39 billion, 46 billion, 64 billion versus the leading, LLM businesses. It's crazy. That's it. Qatari Manson. Qatari's not a bad name. It's more of a unisex type name, isn't it?
Is an absolute battle to get in. XAI's strategy overall is different. They say in a press release yesterday they're going to be competing for enterprises. There are some questions over Fortune 500 companies, their willingness to partner, given some of the controversy around XAI and Grok. I also spoke to some competitors, some investors who did point out XAI, they have almost no enterprise footprint. Noticeably at this point, it's been a profitable battleground, though, for OpenAI and Anthropic. There is some optimism about Musk's ability to weave XAI and Grok into his own enterprises. You got Tesla, robots, SpaceX. We've already seen XAI merge with X, formerly Twitter. Nvidia, we should point out, also a strategic backer here. A bulk of this money is going full circle back into their H100 chips, and the money is also going to help Musk expand his data center footprint. This is really key. Folks I've talked to argue building data centers fast, that could actually be XAI's moat. Musk has a history, a lot of people know, of pushing technical limits and moving faster.
What about the models themselves? What do we know about how they stack up with some of these other big competitors?
It's interesting. I was talking to somebody who said, the models at this point, there's been this argument over are they a commodity or not? They don't stack up to OpenAI, Gemini, Anthropic in the same way. That is sort of the consensus view. It's used within X and Twitter. The mode here is sort of like a core weave. Somebody described it as if you're going to look at the business model here, it could be the type of thing where they're building these data centers. They're going to start competing more with an AWS. They're sort of betting that they can build infrastructure the fastest. You've also got this race, this battle for H100s. They might actually be ahead if you look at sort of that side of it. I would say on the model side, they're not really seen as a leader here, but it's about technical talent. If Musk can compete on sort of recruiting people, they could gain an edge, and you sort of blink and you got somebody moving into the front row. So it'll be interesting to see in 2026 who is sort of seen as the leader. I don't know. They could be a dark horse. We'll see what happens.
Kate, you mentioned some of the controversies. Do we know why they haven't taken a firmer stance against Grok's ability to create, in some cases, fake porn of women without their consent?
We don't know. I wouldn't dare to guess that. I think it's sort of subjective. I mean, there are people that sort of use X on Twitter within sort of that ecosystem and like the ability that there's not as much censorship, there's not as much oversight. So that is more speculation. I couldn't say, why they haven't come out more strongly and pushed back against that. But I would say that is the number one controversy. If you look at a Fortune 500 wanting to partner with these guys, that is going to be top of mind for any company wanting to use this model. They're going to have to think about that.
Aren't deepfakes just straight up illegal? I'm pretty sure, but I know that sounded wild, but for real, that's what is happening. Go on X. I mean, they're putting everything in a bikini. Yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and Bitcoin right now, maybe a little bit of a sell-off. We were at 89,000, nearly 90,000 at 10 o'clock. Then at 10:40, hitting 92,000. And now, look at these candles, man. Like the volatility on crypto these days. It's insane. For real, you guys go ahead, put me in a bikini. I'm good with it. I don't care. I heard a thing one day that said I got to be careful on the way that I word this. But you can't stop someone from I gotta make sure I gotta correct myself. Everything's a fetish. You can't stop someone from masturbating to you. It's just what happens on the internet. So I don't know. Maybe me in an Nvidia hat is just what everyone is, or not everyone, but maybe that's someone's fancy. I can't control it. So, yeah. Go ahead and put me in a bikini on AI. It's gonna happen. You know, there's gonna be every form of artificial intelligence that we can imagine, like every form of image, video, whatever. What I think is going to be crazy is how is this going to like affect like law enforcement and everything. I know there's like things where you can like put a video through a scanning type thing. It'll be like, oh, this is AI, this is not AI, yada yada yada. That's absolute trash. They cannot do that. Maybe they can if it's created by Gemini or it's created by one of the large LLMs, that you would be able to decipher via metadata that they've created that. But if there is LLMs being created by Chinese actors, Russian propaganda, something like this, and then they create videos that does not hold those same that same metadata and do not have safeguards on it, it'll be impossible to tell as models get better over time. So I'm really interested to know how we handle, all this new type of potential propaganda going forward. Yeah. Tanner, I have $400,000 in my brokerage account. What do I buy Monday? That's not enough information, So like, nor would I give you information on what to buy, but like, this is your journey. I gain nothing from telling you what to buy, and I risk everything by getting it wrong. So best of luck to you. I'm just going to talk about what I'm buying with my risk tolerance, with my timeline, with my ability to continue to fall asleep. Okay. Sleep score last night, 93%. Okay. Keep up. It's been, I just recently got this Whoop, and then I went to CES and my sleep was terrible. But now that I'm back home, it's all 90s from here. Not waking up at 4 o'clock again. But that's because I know what I hold in my portfolio. I'm turning this into a an investment, piece of information here. This is my way that I like to invest. Are you going to be able to sleep well at night? Are you sitting up at night thinking about your 20% portfolio being in BMNR and thinking, how do I vote no hard enough to then get Tom Lee out of this company? If that's the case, I actually shout out to Roy. I was just talking with Roy on X, and he had this great post. If you vote no on the BMNR, share count increase, you might as well sell, because for real, You're not buying them for a specific product. You're buying them because management has a knowledge in how to acquire Ethereum better than you. And if you don't believe that, why are you holding? Because it's down? If it's down, sell it and buy Ethereum. That's equally down. So if you do believe in BMNR, you have to vote yes here. I like the way he says this. I like Roy so much. Like, for real, this dude almost deserves like a Nobel Prize. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. I think he's going to do great for so many people over time. Personally, if I wanted to vote no, I'd just vote with my feet and exit, since it would signal I don't trust leadership in their direction. That's like a quote. He's phenomenal. Getting hard to sleep with Shift4 at 9% of the portfolio. Okay, so I'll give you guys some insight. I've been looking into Shift4 again. I don't have a problem with this company. I'm going to try to, so what I actually think I'm going to do, and I apologize to management for saying this, but talking about Shift4 is literally going to have people leave this live stream right now. It is the least liked company, and no one cares about this business. But I'm going to talk with the CEO and have them on the channel, and I might literally leave the video unlisted and just put the thing like on Discord or something. And then if you guys want it, it'll be by request. You know, you guys can watch it if you want, but it's only going to do my YouTube channel a disservice. Yeah, Taylor Lauber. Okay. I can believe in the company and still disagree with management on one specific. Yeah, but it's not one specific thing. They're going to run out of, like, their total cap on shares right now is 500 million. They're like 460, 70 million right now. Like, it's about to fully end. You know? Why so much hate on it? I'm not sure. One, it's down. And whenever people, like, to me, it's like a Nike stock Nike was a bad example, but like Coca-Cola or something like this. It's like the company doesn't need to be innovative for you to make a lot of money. One, I still think they are innovative, but they're fast growing. They're in a fast growing industry. Go look at their margins. Go look at their gross margins over time. Go look at their operating margins over time. Go look at their buybacks, their free cash flow. Go look at, like, what do you not like? Oh, payments is a dead industry. Shift4 is a falling knife. Falling where? To bankruptcy? They're free cash flow positive. How? Falling where? And Finbear, I actually think, like, I'm not picking on you. That's the comments online. Everyone's saying this. But, you know, they have faster payment growth than Toast. You know, like the amount of overall payments to their terminal versus their biggest competitor, with way, like, I had a little argument online where someone was telling me, like, oh, you know, their tech sucks. Everything about this company. Oh, let me go and find that. Where is this? Also, I'm so rude online. I need to quit it. I need to be nicer. I said, you know, Shift4 seems oversold. What am I missing here? I just showed forward price to free cash flow being the lowest it's ever been in the company's history. That's it. And then I did get some real answers, like, hey, but, like, where was the one where someone just said, subpar company in technology. Those of us who have been in payments for decades know that they are not a real player for the future. I didn't like this answer. Felt like this was very dismissive of how much due diligence I do in the space. said they're growing market share. Who would you say are the real players? He said Block, Adyen, and Stripe. I was like, okay, bro. Adyen and Stripe don't even play in the same industry. Well, Adyen does a little bit, and Stripe does on the unified commerce, obviously a lot, but they are not competitors. Block is a competitor, and they are a bad one. So I said, excuse what I'm gonna, I was a little rude, but the payments growth on Shift4 versus Block, like they're about to surpass them. Block is not even a real player versus Shift4. He said, okay, guy, you clearly know more about someone who's been in payments for 20 years. So does your experience come with an explanation for my payments chart? Then I even showed, I said, I was going to say, I didn't want to continue to argue, but if you bring up Toast, that's a good example of a real competitor. If you look up, who's dominating in restaurants, in stadiums, in hospitality, Toast has a really good, you could put up to say that their technology is better. But then you can even look up who is the technology provider for the terminal payments for SoFi Stadium. And you would find out that that's Block, right? But who's the ticket provider, right? Which is a added-on, other value-added service part of the business for payment companies that a name like Shift4 does very well for SoFi Stadium. Is it Block? They're the best technology provider, according to Rennie here, the payments guy of 20 years. No, it's Shift4. So they are divided in their services because they signed a very long deal with Block, but yet they actually do ticketing through Shift4 via Ticketmaster. But and you don't believe me? I've got the receipts. Right here. Los Angeles Rams selects Shift4 to power payments for ticket sales. That's the same company that Block handles payments in. Like that's SoFi Stadium. But they don't deal with Block for that because their technology doesn't offer those types of solutions. Who calls this Toast? Who calls the company Toast? I mean, it's just called Toast. Shift4 is a very cool company. No one cares, but like the growth and margins are growing. You look up how to find, I shouldn't say that. You look up how to find a good company via my expectations, and it's Follow Management, which has taken a big hit on Shift4. Jared Isaacman is a Elon-level brilliant person. He is still a believer in Shift4 and the majority holder of the company, but he's now, in the board of directors, not running the company day to day. But according to Taylor Lauber, he's still a part of the distribution for all of the buys and sells, and like if they're doing acquisitions. And that's a problem too. People don't like it because they do acquisitions. Yeah, I don't know. Your silence on ASML is deafening. I like ASML. I think they have zero competitors. Cool company. I've got no problem with it. Yes, I'm aware that that's the problem, but look at the servicing of their debt. So another thing that ended up happening is that during COVID, they had this incredible idea to get as much debt as they possibly could. And then through that, they had this essentially long-term debt that is 0% essentially interest rates on their loans. So it's not just the debt in terms of total debt. Look how much that debt is costing them. They can pay it off if they wanted. But yeah, I completely understand this. And if I could go back, I should have seen that coming, that Jared leaving would have been the top. And I'm going to learn from that mistake. The next time a founder that I've trusted and heavily trusted, I had a conversation with the dude. I I will have trimmed my position greatly, or at least taken my initial purchase off the table. Yeah. So how much stock research do you do every day? So 7 days a week. What is your average for the week per day researching? I don't know if it's a science. It's just something that I like to do. Like, I don't know. It's practically like an on and off thing all day, 7 days a week. I don't really have very many hobbies. Like, YouTube is very fun. Like, for real, I think of this as less about work and more about like talking with some friends. Not many people know this, but someone brought this up in chat. This might actually be the same person because they brought it up in chat like yesterday in the Discord. I actually was an Aritzia shareholder and made pretty good amount of money back in this company because I remember, my girlfriend at the time, all of her friends. This is like a Canadian business that just exploded onto the scene. I haven't looked at it since, but someone actually just reached out to me that they've been growing into the United States and everything, which is a much larger area. And it's just supposedly doing extremely well. So it gets the seal of approval from me. But to be honest, I haven't looked at it in a bit. Yeah, last year it's up 110%. That's crazy, man. This is why you don't trim companies. Like, for real, I mean, I've probably done very well with the money that I had made on Aritzia, but you find a great company, they're going to continue to do well over time. What's their business? They make like, they make clothes, but they're not really competing. I don't know what range to put them at. Maybe like a Lululemon. Like, it's a little bit more pricey. It's a little bit more premium, but you're not looking at like designer clothes. Maybe Lululemon's a good example. Yeah, it's all women clothing, but just a little bit more premium than maybe you would find for like a, I don't know, American Eagle or something like this. It's not sportswear. It's like nice clothes. It's going out clothes. Yeah, semi-casual business, yeah, stuff like this. But they've done very well, and I constantly hear of, like, even my girlfriend, like, just she wanted the new Aritzia Super Puff or whatever. It's just like this thing. It's going extremely viral. Yeah, so she got this coat that goes down to her ankles. It's like a long head-to-toe coat. It's an upgraded Zara. That's a great example. But it's a Canadian company, and it's just exploded here. Yeah. Thoughts on memory names like SanDisk and Seagate? I am just scared. Anyone that's been investing over the last 10 years, I don't know. I'm scared of those companies. I've seen them skyrocket and then fly back down. And they're over the last 10 years, there's been unbelievable breakthroughs in memory. I'm just worried about those. And I'm probably being stupid and stubborn, but I've seen companies like Seagate and SanDisk and Micron, which I was following like crazy before, go up and then fly right back down. Hey, Tanner, could you check my super chat? Yes, sorry, I didn't. Thoughts on UiPath? I don't have any thoughts on UiPath, unfortunately. I don't have any. Sorry, I'd like to give you an answer, but I don't want to fake something that I'm not looking into. Okay. Peg ratios are low for what? For UiPath? Thoughts on bagged milk, Tanner? I don't buy it. I buy cartons. Yeah. But it's all right. Everyone acts like bagged milk. Like we don't just put it in the fridge. There's a container that it goes in. It works fine. I know it's hard to understand whenever you like, why would you buy a bag of water versus a, but it works fine. It really does. Do you think SoFi will stop charging people? Will stop charging people for depositing cash? I'm not understanding this. For depositing cash? I'd like to think they're not doing that. I'd like to think that they like the cash. Okay. I heard from the White House quant that you have some concerns about Zeta. No, I don't have some concern. I was just sitting with Amit and Davis, and I said, what do they do? And no one told me. They said it makes us a lot of money. And I was like, okay, well, I need to understand the business more. And I have such a hard time buying names that I don't fully understand. And it's not even like I'm researching it a lot. I was looking at it, fundamentally before, and I was listening to a couple calls from the CEO and everything. But what I like about the names that I'm holding is I get to touch and feel and like Aritzia. What I do like about following a company like this is you can just see the demand online from people, like almost like social arbitrage. You can see how popular a name like this is. And I haven't heard of them too much until my girlfriend asked for that Super Puff thing again. And then I was like, oh man, this is fully, like it's everywhere. Okay. They do AI. Yeah. It's just that it's on fire. I mean, yeah. Okay, let's move on to some more news. I don't like talking about things I'm not following. I've got nothing to add to your guys' opinions of those. Like I said before, I think any of those names I don't prefer to hold over companies that actually own the user. I'd rather pay for a premium on Meta and know that they hold the user. The customers, to my understanding, are not going to Zeta.com. They're going to Facebook.com. That deserves a huge premium, in my opinion, because if things change in the marketing tech space and the ad tech space, and you're not in that industry, it's going to be hard to follow. You're going to have to wait for the quarters to come out, the press releases to come out to see what are the deals being signed. Facebook, you get to see that all in live time. You get to see that from Reddit. You get to see that from Amazon's advertising. You can follow the website traffic. You can, there's more visibility. Us as retail investors, we're at such a disadvantage for information. That's why I don't like the Trump thing about moving earnings to every 6 months, is that just strengthens institutional advantages. I'd rather go in the other direction. I do think Meta is very undervalued. Tanner, do you think if someone has a long-term horizon and high risk tolerance, going mostly on options leaps is better than going into stock, especially on high beta names, Nvidia, CoreWeave, Zeta? I personally don't, because you don't, long time horizon doesn't mean that the market agrees with your timeline. If you end up saying something is going to be, huge over the next 2 years, look at SoFi during that time. High beta name whenever it was trading at even back $15 whenever it first went public. Like That was a very high beta name, but you know, it's hard to track the macro environment. It's hard to track what interest rates are going to do over a multi-year period. It's like your guess is as good as mine. So I'm personally a fan of common shares, but obviously you can make a lot of money from writing options on names that you get correct. But if you get the timing wrong on common shares, your stock might be down, but you're not out. Options can make sure that you are out. Yeah. I'm not a believer in the sort of retail investing saying of like, hey, Lambo or homeless type thing where they're like, I've got one chance to, make my life amazing or ruin it. And maybe that's from my standpoint where I do feel comfortable and happy. So I'd rather not ruin this and conserve what I have than trying to, go crazy and YOLO into something that I maybe don't believe in as like a possibility, as much so as doing common shares and maybe just getting my timeline a little wrong. And if you do options, do it in a small percent. Like there's definitely times where I've seen some plays and I'm like, man, this is undervalued. And then I've also looked previously at some names. I'm like, why didn't I buy leaps on SoFi at $5? Like I knew what was happening. But the market doesn't know I own the stock, and it doesn't. Things can stay way dumber than I think for longer periods of time, which does mean that like Nvidia can do 10% this year if it wants. Like if the market gives it a 10% premium, not premium. I mean the the stock would get much, much cheaper if it only went up 10%, which is like the best position to be, in my opinion. For a name like Nvidia is like, okay, if it goes up only slightly and that gets even cheaper, I still bought something that went up ever so slightly. And yet fundamentally, that's the part that I'm going to track and continue to follow because that's the advantage that I have. That's what I can follow. Capital preservation is a concept too many retail traders ignore. Yeah, like I'm living a comfortable life. And I think I'm going to live a more comfortable life going forward. But I don't need to start to gamble. Okay. Nvidia has been flat since August. Is that true? Because I think that's the same sort of timeline that people have been saying on SoFi as well. SoFi has been the same price right now since September. And well, obviously a lot of fluctuation since then. And yeah, August 12th or so for Nvidia. But we've had 2 earnings of accelerated growth during that time. I really don't care. Does Canada have a lottery? Yes. I hope Nvidia hits 220 this year. See, this is what I think happens too, is this is a new type of anchor bias where people end up not seeing, like we hit 212, but then we ended up getting dragged back. And then people go, I mean, my hope is that we get to all-time highs. It's like, I'm hoping for a lot more than that. I think like with my whole chest that we get over 250 this year. How can we not? Like, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll let my performance speak for myself. It has in the past. But you're only as good as your latest sale, right? So, or your latest stock purchase in this case. So I'll have to win your guys' hearts over once again to say that I do believe that Nvidia will continue to do well, but I don't know. Maybe accelerating growth and margins is not something that people want to do. Okay. SoFi is a buy here, not trimming. I'm buying and have a $7. You have a $7 average still buying at these prices? Because for me, my average has been climbing. You know? But that's okay. Is this new? SoftBank invests $1 billion in partner SB Energy. That's cool. Let me see if that's if I can find a similar report. Yep. 46 seconds ago. This guy. Basu Games, are you the new Cactus Jack? Do we have another guy with a Bloomberg report in or Bloomberg terminal in here? I got you. All right. All right. I see. Okay, let's see. Let me check Basu's previous messages to make sure that he hasn't said something unbelievably insane. And then if that's the case, then I'll mod this guy so then I see his messages next time. We like timely information, that's for sure. I'm looking through. I love that I could see all your guys' past messages. It's so funny. Here, wait, can I bring this up and can we full screen this? No, not really. Okay. So just so everyone's aware, I can go through and see all of your past messages. This is a nice guy. I'll mod him. But he's like you're a little bit of a spammer. He'll do like the yo www. That's awesome. Cool, man. Tanner, you got to look at Dave. Mark, I agree with you. Something's clearly going on there. But yeah, there's 1,000 names to look at in so little time. Tanner, I have an $8.50 average SoFi shares. I'm still buying SoFi last 3 months. 43. Wait. Do you have 4,300 shares or you have 4.3 million shares of SoFi? Correction, 300,000 shares. I mean, it's a nice position. That is a nice position. Did you change cameras or bitrate? Your video is super clear on Twitch. What camera is it? It's a Sony. Well, it's not a new camera, but it's a Sony I was going to say Sony A16Z. I have an investing problem. But what's it called? It's something. Someone will tell me. V10Z, something like that. Yeah, so, I don't know, something like that. I'm not a camera guy. I just bought what the thing, like, I watched a review, I bought it. Yeah, ZVE10, that's what it was. With a Sigma lens thing. Yeah, it's definitely this one. Dave and Buster's, what a dump. Okay, let's check this out. They are down on the year 40%. Well, last 5 years. Oh, yeah. That's not been the play. So, well, I think the lens is actually called it's called Sigma. Yeah, it says Sigma on the side. Okay. I would not be here if I owned 300,000 shares. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. You don't want to chill with me just because you're rich? I'm telling you guys, I've seen some real pictures from some people like with huge portfolios that watch the chat. Way bigger than I ever would have thought. Yeah, 16 millimeter sounds correct. It was for like close, like 3 feet or something like this. I forget. Blurs out the background really nice. Okay. Let's get back into the news. Cantor Fitzgerald upgraded Google to overweight from neutral, raising the price target to $370. What would that put their market cap at? I need to check that. It's crazy how close Google and Nvidia are getting. But like, let's put this into perspective. Like, I'm fully aware that Google is, has recurring revenue and they own the user and it's B2C. I like all those things. But the growth is in the teens and Nvidia is in the 60+% ranges and growing. Like, what are we talking about? In a year and 2 quarters, in a year and a half, they're going to have more revenue than Google does at higher margins. SMCI is burning shorts into close. Nice, up 3.66% on SMCI. Silver's still holding up pretty well, actually, up 3.7% today as well. Broadcom up 4% at 345. AppLovin up 4%. Micron up 4.4%. SMR up 4.6%. CoreWeave up 4.7%. Where is my favorite? Nebis. Only up 2.9%, but still doing well for Nebius here. Come on, Nvidia is nowhere close to Google. What are we talking about, dude? That is actually crazy to me. But Google is much more diversified. They're actually like one of the least diversified names in all of the Mag 7. Was Nebius at CES? Did you talk to them? I really didn't explore too much of CES. I was mainly there for Nvidia. We walked around a little bit, but yeah. I actually met one of you guys there. His name was Victor. So Victor, if you're in chat, man, say hello. I want to know your. He didn't tell me his name in chat, but I did get his number, so I'll reach out to him. I don't know if you guys can see that. Shout out to Victor, man. What an absolute gem. He and I think it was his wife, were fantastic people. Super nice. I've never met any of you guys that I thought was a bad interaction or anything like that. It's always been like the best people. So, Victor, shout out to you, brother. I was walking with Amit that he had no clue who Amit was and asked if he could take the picture. So that's who took the picture, was Amit. I was like, this is a first for me. Usually it's 100% the other way around. You going to be at a MITS meetup, the one in New York? No. Or at least not planning to right now. Not even sure when it is. I'm not accepting Google. I'm not slandering Google. I'm not. But like, Nvidia they're in a world of their own. Like, people don't understand how fast growing something at 60+% rates is. It's insanity. Okay, let's do a little, let me show you guys what a calculator looks like. Okay, we're going to times this by 1.6 times. We initially had $100 million of revenue. Next year, we have 160. Next year after that, we have 256. Next year, 400, 650. 5 clicks in, and we're at $1 billion. That's a 10x. Google, let's say they're growing at 15%. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 20% of where Google or where Nvidia will be in the same time frame. It's an insane level of compounding. Now, I'm aware that Google has strong recurring revenue, great products, less competitors. But how do you factor in that level of growth over a 2-year period even? In 6 quarters, I'm not kidding you guys, in 6 quarters, Nvidia is going to make more revenue and more profit than Google. Essentially, this quarter, we're going to have more profit on Nvidia than Google. People say very diversified. It's not very diversified. Like 50% of their overall income comes from search alone. That's not very diversified. Go look at Microsoft or, something like this. That's diversification. I'm just saying there's a huge difference between 12% growth and a company that's growing at 16% growth. And then that's worth discussing. Hey, I know it's at 12%, but it's very diversified. Whenever you start doing 60+% growth, it's like, okay, diversification's out the window. There's one product that we need to sell and we need to do a lot more of that. Yeah, Amazon's extremely diversified. That's another great example. Google can't diversify because of antitrust. That's not true. That's not true. So there's a couple things that companies can do. And so one, people mistake monopolies a lot. Apple, if you look at their share of iPhones, would look to be a percentage over 70%. That would seem monopolistic, but they're not anti-competitive. So they're not buying companies or holding them down. There's been a couple cases where maybe their payments have been a little bit odd with Epic Games or potentially holding back X on the App Store. And there's been cases, but you're not going to harm a company because customers want their product. So Apple's just done well naturally. On the other hand, a company like Amazon, which owns 40% of the e-commerce space, and if they were to go out and try to buy Shopify, that would get shut down because they can't hold an insane amount of e-commerce by anti-competitive natures. But if they want to get into Prime Video or Amazon Web Services, no one cares because that's a completely different industry. But social media is one thing. So if you diversify between the differences of Facebook and Instagram, you're under the same umbrella. But once Meta starts getting into, glasses, and they go and buy a small glasses startup, no one's like, oh, that's anti-competitive. Like, what? No, we're good at Facebook. Can you explain how a company that runs YouTube, Gemini, Google Drive, and the internet search isn't diversity? How much does Google Drive make? You tell me. Tell me how much Google Drive makes for that company. Tell me how much Gmail and Google Home and all of those other things that you call diversity, how much money is it making? That's not making any money. None. Zilch, zip, nada. They make all their money from search. That's what pays for Google Chrome. That's what, like, there's product diversity, but I'm talking about revenue diversity. That's what matters. If search gets hit, the whole company gets hit. By the way, you're talking about a person who bought Google like very, very low during the time whenever the Google search thing was under stress from ChatGPT. I was a believer. I'm a believer in Google. You know? Google Cloud makes good revenue. Google Cloud is not Google Drive. Do you think that's coming from personal customers? That's coming from huge organizations. Let's go look at Google really quick. And I'll put this here. Okay. Here is the revenue diversification of Google. Featuring what do you call it? Fiscal AI. This is a heavy play on search. Okay. Some of these other ones like Waymo, and they go, oh yeah, they have Waymo. So that's diversification. Oh, wait. Actually, let me keep these up. This sliver of yellow down here, that's Waymo and other bets. That's how much Waymo is. And some people say that that's diversification. This is not. This is a fun activity for them. You know? And then whenever you talk about, so this is revenue. Now let's look at profit. So Google services, by the way, which includes like all of this. I wish they broke it all out into other things. We won't put corporate operating expenses. So I wish we could break this out even further. But whenever you actually look at the profitability, Google or YouTube is barely profitable. Most of their services are barely profitable, and or if not, just losing them money. And all of their money comes from search. By the way, this is Google Cloud operating income. That's Google Cloud. And I like the business. I'm not like, remember, I'm playing devil's advocate here. No. See, I'm not comparing it to Nvidia. Nvidia, I'm fully aware, very concentrated on data center. I'm not, but you can't use that as a strength of why it's like, yes, they're growing at, here, wait, let me get my numbers exactly correct. Yes, they're growing at 15.9% revenue, but they're really diversified. It's like, I mean, come on. Like, yes, but like, I'm not, what are we talking about here? If you want to see like diversification, go to like Amazon. That's a great one. Amazon's a great, Amazon, Microsoft. These are really good versions of diversification. I like these ones. So look at this for Amazon. That's diversification. You know? Okay. Comparatively to Nvidia can be used as a pro, it is more diverse. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely more diverse. How is Tesla's revenue? He's saying it's not. He's saying it's more diverse than Tesla, which is right, which is true. You guys want to see NVIDIA's? I can show you NVIDIA's. Here, I'll just keep this up. We can just play around a little bit. So on Fiscal AI, they have segments and KPIs, which really does differ them from, many of these other data aggregators. And so we can see how their diversification looks whenever we stack all their revenues on top of each other. Fully aware, but I've never said that they were diversified. And this is only going to get worse and worse as quarters go on, as we are about to see next quarter. It's only going to be even more in favor of data centers, But I'm not using that as a strength for my company. If you're going to use it as a strength, it better be a very diverse company. But hopefully, this little sliver right here, here, wait, where is it? I can't even put my automotive right there. You see this little sliver? This little purple sliver? Whenever he's talking about Alpha Mayo and working with BMW and all of these things, it's it is exciting, but we have to put this into perspective. It won't even make a freaking dent for years. But hopefully, eventually, it does. Let me bring this forward so we can see just the real growing quarters. Yeah, that looks great. And then if I can get my mouse, yeah, that right there is what they're doing for self-driving cars and selling chips. And then you saw him do the DGX Spark, this amazing new design of, hey, we took this amazing computer that ends up helping people with simulation and all of these things for engineers, for OpenAI and for XAI and Tesla and all of these things. We've shrunk it down into this little device that people can use. It's an unbelievable feat of engineering. And this is what this is a portion of that earnings right here, is this sliver of orange. So the main stuff that we should focus on, it may be gaming, but honestly, it's data centers now. It's the whole company. But then whenever you see something hey, now they're going to be able to open up and sell, there was a report that ended up saying that Nvidia is going to be increasing the cost and lowering the production of their gaming chip. And then in the same breath, they also said, but we're also going to be selling 200,000 H200 chips to ByteDance and Alibaba, and we're opening up into China soon. So the one could affect this revenue stream, which is most recent quarter was $4 billion. Back before, whenever we were doing China revenue, was bigger than $4 billion a quarter, and more likely to be, if they believe it's a $50 billion industry, closer to about $10 billion a quarter. So if we can replace this entire segment with more data center spend for Chinese customers, who cares about diversification? There's also geographical diversification, right? It's not just about the individual segments. You also have to look at how does this break down between US and Taiwanese and China revenue and all of this stuff. Networking revenue as well. This was another one. It's not really broken down well here, but the company does it itself, which is more important, which I also think is great. But yeah, this is Nvidia. I'm a believer. Oh wait, can I pull that back up really quick? I want to just put this into perspective. This is the most recent quarter that they've done. Just look at the step change there. And then the revenue on top of that had shrunk down to a measly 55% year-over-year growth, and then that's climbed up to 62%. What's cool about Fiscal AI is that if we drag this forward and we can see next quarter's growth, that this is the average Wall Street estimate right now. $65.4 billion is the expectation, which would be another step change versus just 2 quarters ago. And that growth has climbed from 55 to 62.5 to then 66.4% is the average Wall Street estimate, for which, by the way, always gets beat by Nvidia. I think that's something like they've beaten 16 of the last 17 quarters that they've ended up showing off. And the quarter that they missed was all the way back in like 2023. Maybe even earlier. How sure are you that this growth in margin will maintain? Amazing question. So I believe that the cycle between going and talking with TSM and all of their producers, which take a ton of suppliers, they deal with every single one, okay? To then being able to get full chip delivered to their customer is a long time frame. And so their customers can't, like a gaming GPU, walk into a store and buy these products. They need to call up Jensen and say, the big customers, the ones we care about, need to call Jensen early on and say, we need this for 2026. We need this for 2027. We need this for 2028. And so whenever Jensen says that we have 500, potentially even closer to $600 billion of runway for the next, maybe I can bring this up in Fiscal AI. I didn't try this, but let's just go ahead and try to do this really quick. And we will go down to the last quarter. Oh, sorry. And then let me just search for 500. We currently have visibility to $500 billion of Blackwell and Rubin revenue from the start of the year through the end of calendar 2026. But there was a comment by Jensen. Let's see if we can find this. You talked about the $500 billion plus. Okay. We're working on the $500 billion forecast. We're on track for that as we've just finished some of them in this quarter. We have several quarters now in front of us to take us through the end of calendar 2026. The number will grow and we will achieve, I'm sure, additional need for compute. They'll be shippable by fiscal year 2026. Where was the Jensen comment? Jensen made a comment saying that we have extreme visibility into it. Where was it? Therefore, TCO. I'm forgetting where the exact comment was made, but there was a comment of from Jensen talking about that visibility. I wonder if it is visibility. Like, can I just like... We have much better visibility and control. Obviously, we're good at maintaining our supply chain. We currently have visibility to 500. Yeah, I mean, maybe that was just the initial comment. But anyway, somewhere in this transcript, if I was making a video on this, I'd find the exact quote. But just because I'm live, I won't bore you guys with this. But there was a comment made that they talk to their customers. They know exactly what they're going to be ordering. They know what they're working on. They know why they need these chips. You know? So, the reason why I believe that they'll be able to hold up this level of growth is because their customers are already asking for it. You know, they're signing contracts. That's where the CapEx is going. And I also see the progress that's being made on artificial intelligence. And I have high hopes that just like what we've seen from ChatGPT, 3 to ChatGPT 4 and then 5 is that the products get better over time. We talked about this yesterday, but Toby Lutke put out a tweet that I think is so unbelievably important. Let me see. This is the CEO of Shopify, my second biggest company that I hold. And he said, I shipped more code in the last 3 weeks than a decade before. The top AI models / agentic systems right now are on an entirely different thing to what people are used to until the beginning of December. Like, whenever people think of, like, even whenever you're going to go have conversations about people with artificial intelligence, they go, I've tried them, they hallucinate. You're not using the same products that Toby Lutke is saying is completely different a month ago. It's like a new thing now. I like this. Kasdan here put this great tweet. It's so wild. I feel like I've discovered fire. So, yeah, I'm a big believer. I'm a big, big believer. Okay. Fiscal AI looks like a good tool. It is a good tool. It's why I partnered with them. On the other hand, AI can't build me an Excel chart accurately right now. Right now. That's what we need to think. We like whenever you think about the limitations of these products, I hope that you don't think that that is out of their realm of possibility. For real, artificial intelligence is going as the brain that's going into Optimus to go and potentially fold laundry, to help be firefighters and run into fires, or be on a battlefield to help with mission critical solutions. You must think that they'll be able to build a spreadsheet eventually, you know? And that will come. And whenever I think about all that, by the way, all those solutions that are coming in, and what we can do with surveillance, with drones, and how robots, which are even being used today for like bomb disposal and all these things, like just the importance of you know, helping keep human life safe, and how a robot would be a great solution for handling a lot of law enforcement tasks or some of these things. It's just like, I just don't understand how we don't go more further from here if right now we're buying trillions of dollars of GPUs and we can't build an Excel spreadsheet yet. You know? And by the way, there's trillions of dollars being spent on spreadsheets right now. Like, there are a lot of people whose jobs, financial analysts, you know, any real white collar job, is using some spreadsheet right now, and a lot of their work is being done that way. The world runs on spreadsheets. It'll be a solved problem. Yeah. But I don't know. I just have a big belief in this. That's where I am right now. I think that that being said, this was all just to answer a question of how do you know that the visibility and the margins are going to continue to increase? Because I'm still seeing step changes in performance on the GPUs. That's really the quick and easy answer. You know, like even some of the smaller stuff that they said from that, like the time to set up the old Blackwell GPUs was like 2 hours per system. Now it's like 5 minutes. Well, how does that help with deployment speeds? You know, now you can buy more because they're going to be set up quicker. The photonic systems, the networking, which they have the biggest networking business in the world because of their acquisition of Mellanox, the greatest acquisition of all time, now just allows them to connect more GPUs together and act as if it's one brain. So now customers can buy even more. You know, Jensen Huang said in the Q&A that he asks customers politely to buy what they need, not what they want. How hilarious is that? Imagine running a company where you're like, whoa, slow down, everyone. Single file line, please, please, everyone. Line up nice and neatly. But yet the customers you're talking to are Elon and Zuckerberg and Sundar, and like, come on, guys, everyone's going to have a turn. The most powerful people, and they're like, yes, sir. Yes, Jensen. You know, They said they're probably on track to being the largest CPU company on Earth. They also said that the memory problems that they're having right now might end up pushing them into creating their own solutions. I don't have my thing on chat, sorry. Okay. He also talked about like this is also why I love buying the biggest companies in the world too, like Facebook and Amazon and all of these, is like they were talking about how the entire stack for Vera Rubin is now completely encrypted. There's no drop ever. I'm like, wasn't there, I was talking with Jose about this. I was like, wasn't there entire businesses where that's what their job was, to secure like data centers for like extremely high profile customers, like government data centers? Like, wasn't that their whole job? But now Nvidia is just going to do it by themselves. Like, it's so hard to sometimes pick some of these small names where they do a fraction or a piece of that business because, you know, maybe Nvidia just does it themselves. More like breadlines. Yeah, I mean, we'll end up seeing what happens. Jensen answered that question during the Q&A too. Will robotics and artificial intelligence cause, large unemployment? He actually thinks the opposite. He thinks that we're going to look at robots as almost like a needed form of immigration, and like we're already at a labor shortage, and he thinks that it's going to fill those gaps and accelerate new product lines and stuff like this, which I have to believe. Okay. Tanner, circling back, I know that Robinhood does not allow you to earn 3% cash back if you use your credit card to buy resale products. Is it possible that what's happening with the $10 SoFi? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Not market related, but according to Kalshi, odds if GTA 6 being delayed is now 50% from 15%. What's the current expectation? November of 2026? Yeah, the problem is GTA 6 was built in a weird time where it's probably not AI native. But I do think that like some of these names, we were even talking about that. Like Jensen said, like one of his most exciting things that he's looking forward to, which is what actually, if I had an opportunity to ask him a question, was I was just going to send him a softball and I was going to ask him, what technological advancement, AI or otherwise, are you most excited for? But I've been thinking about this for like gaming and stuff in the future. A GTA 6, a Skyrim, or one of those type games in the future where every single NPC not just only has a large list of conversation pieces, but is just fully AI driven, and even would help with performance as well. I was trying to wrap my brain around it, but he said like Jensen was talking about how in the future the games of the future are not just going to try to like generate every single pixel and like try to replicate the physics of water, which can be extremely intensive for some of these GPUs, but instead artificial intelligence is just going to emulate the water, which I guess is going to take a lot of stress off GPUs. I didn't quite understand it, but he has this belief that artificial intelligence is just going to completely change the way that we render as well, and that's going to be much easier for GPUs going forward. There's a mod for it in Skyrim. Cool. Play Elden Ring. I don't play any of those games, but I fully know about Elden Ring. I fully know about Skyrim, everything like this. I don't play anything right now. My guilty habit is watching StarCraft 2 videos. I really like listening to people play StarCraft 2, but that's about as much as my guilty habits will go. Well, hi to you too, my friend. I don't know what that means. What do you think about the company Sezzle? I tried taking a look, but it didn't catch me immediately. Okay. I grew up in Korea. I love that shit. Yeah, I mean, it's a good game. I can't play for... I tried to play even whenever I was much younger. Like, I played probably 10 years ago. I'm trash. I just like it a lot. I love to follow it. But I can't play at all. I have to play something where I'm controlling it completely. Like, honestly, now my version of a video game is chess or Minesweeper or something like this, just to keep my brain working. If you ever need a hookup with Blizzard games, Tanner, I got you. Yeah, tell me when they're going to release new games. Let me know that. Are you getting on the Zeta train? No. Well, I mean, I might, but Wood League, for real, I think I was silver whenever I used to play StarCraft 2. And that was mainly just from cheesing. Like, I don't even really think I had a race that I played. Like, I was just playing what was the popular cheese strat. But I like watching competitive StarCraft 2. Tanner, you'd love backgammon. I can get down with some backgammon. Anyone buying AMD or Marvell today seems cheap to me. Let's go check it out. Where's AMD? AMD 204. I mean, yeah, that's actually taken quite the haircut recently. Maybe AMD is cheap. Should I diversify into some AMD? I bought AMD yesterday under 205. Okay. I don't think the bottom is falling any lower on AMD. Do you think, like, ever since that gap up on earnings, that sort of like created a little bit of a base for us around that $200 range? I could believe it. I mean, I think AMD has a good future too. Like, I do. I think that the need for GPUs is high. You bet your buns it's cheap. $200 seems to be a strong support. No, guys, it's so funny. I'm not buying Zeta, dude. I don't know anything about this name. Are you concerned at all that geopolitical events that are occurring around the world at the moment will have any downward pressure on the stock market in the short term, or for that matter, the long term? Which geopolitical events are you talking about? I think a Taiwanese situation is obviously a little bit scary. I think that could definitely affect the markets, but the market's just not believing it. Trump, like Venezuela, Greenland, Cuba, Colombia type situations. No, I'm not worried too much about that. No. I'm not worried about the Iran thing. I don't know why that would affect markets. Am I wrong on that? Like, I'm not a political person, but isn't that more of like, that's like their own thing that they're trying to figure out. I don't think that's for real. I sound like an idiot. My understanding is that there is a potential regime change and there is a religious change as well. Let's say there's large growth in Christianity, and that's clashing with the current regime. Am I wrong on saying that? And I apologize if I'm insensitive. I don't know anything about this. But yeah, I don't know why that would affect markets. I don't know how much Iranian capital is in Nvidia or something like this. I follow geopolitics very closely. The only potential geopolitical black swan would involve time. Yeah, that's my understanding. That one's the only one that's like really scary. And even then, like, I mean, that's been going on for a long time. Okay. Yeah, I think it's Iran, right? Is how you actually say it, Iran. But I was going to, what's that song? And I ran so far away. Dude, see, that's the problem. I'm such a good singer that I'm going to get demonetized now. Also, phenomenal song. Couldn't get away. Oh my gosh. I wish I could just play music on stream. It would be phenomenal. I think we're going to have a stream soon with Steve where we get to talk about our favorite artists, and you guys are going to be blown away by the diversity of the music that I listen to. Flock of Iranians. Yeah. What's your Nebius end of year target? I don't really have one, to be honest. I just think if they continue to build out data centers, which is what I see, and the the growth that they're expecting continues to come to fruition, and that is at profitable levels, that I like any company that's growing at multiple 100% that are profitable. Okay, so for real, I'm not an anime guy, but I keep seeing the popularity of K-pop Demon Hunters. Is it worth watching? Like, I would never have thought that I would like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's like one of the greatest films of all time. Like, I can't get over how good those movies are. Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, insane. A resounding no. It's more for kids. Okay. Okay. All right. I don't know anything about it. I just keep seeing it on the front page of Netflix, and they're like, hey, everyone likes this. Got you. It's great if you're a 14-year-old girl. Okay. Burry tweets about how the U.S. Should throw trillions of dollars to bypass protests and regulation for nuclear weapons. He states this is the only way to get enough power to keep up with China. Vasu Games coming in clutch. I would ask them to take trillions of dollars, since trillions gets thrown away like millions now, and bypass all the protests and regulations and dot the whole country with small nuclear reactors, while also building a brand new state-of-the-art grid for everyone. Do this as soon as possible and secure it from attack with the latest physical and cybersecurity maybe even create a special nuclear defense force that protects each facility, funded federally. This is the only hope of getting enough power to keep up with China, and it is the only hope we have as a country to grow enough to ultimately pay off our debts and guarantee long-term security by not letting power become a limiting factor on our innovation. Hey, now. I like that. What do you guys think? I'm a fan of that. Let's not have energy be the bottleneck, and let's explore how many chips we can sell of Nvidia. Huh? Did someone in chat just solve all the problems? That wasn't someone in chat. That was, someone in chat pointed out that, what's his name? Geez, what's his name? It's freaking Cassandra. Michael Burry. There we go. I hate that his name is Cassandra Unchained on X, which I'm pretty sure is his wife's name. But yeah, he just tweeted that. Okay. Why is SoFi doing what it's doing? Let's go ahead and see. Down 1%. Dude. Wow. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at SoFi. I've been talking about this company for some time, but as you guys know, I've been following it fundamentally. Burry tweeted that we should federally fund nuclear power plants and put a lot of money to defend them, so then we can ramp up our energy demand, so then we can speed up the innovation, American innovation, to compete against China and pay off our debt. This is SoFi's revenue over time. See, they actually just added a new export control, but I actually prefer sometimes to look at it this way just because it's a little tighter. But anyway, let me zoom out a little bit. So this is SoFi's revenue over time. If we then look at the growth of revenue year over year, we're at 38%. Next quarter is going to be going off a good, but still, a little bit better than the quarter before, $734 million. This is whenever growth had started to slow to under 20%, and then all the Wall Street investors had said that this is where we're going to be going forward, and it turns out we weren't. Sorry, let me pull this down. And then we started ramping up growth to 42%, 38%. Next quarter, what's Wall Street placing? Oh, wait, it won't show us because the credit loss, but we can just add it up really quick. So right now we're at 691. Not research, estimates. Quarterly. Wall Street for next quarter is somewhere along the lines of 980 million. Really high top, though. Wow. Someone thinks we're almost going to do 1,100. I'm actually going more on the above 800 mark. And you can see here what they believed. The high end of revenue. Oh, sorry. This is a little small for you guys. The high end for revenue last quarter was 895. What we ended up seeing was 950. And you could see this constantly where the highest that they thought, oh, sorry, not the highest. The highest was 649. We ended up beating that. The high was 712. We ended up beating that. 749, 770, 821, 858. This one was not higher than the high, but still higher than the median. 892, 950. And this quarter has a very high. You can see this here where the consensus is 985, but then the high end is nearly 11 or 1.1 billion in revenue for SoFi. Okay. We have to remember, and Wall Street's probably not taking this into account for their average target here, is that Chime's going to be paying us $33 million this quarter. So if consensus is 985, and I do not believe that, like, one, we've beat consensus every single time, and most of the time it's beaten by like higher than the highest expectation. This is why I find it's crazy that whenever we beat these expectations by the highest we've ever seen, and then we go and look at EPS and we see a similar thing of beating expectations, 4 cents, 5 cents, 4 cents, 29 cents, 3 cents, 6 cents, 6 cents, 8 cents, 8 cents, 11 cents. We constantly beat. Okay. That we're doing better on margin and we're doing better on revenue. And then these analysts come out and they're like, yeah, we maintain the same price target that we did previously. It's like, I'm going to give you a freaking shake. I'm going to give you a shake. So if we end up seeing 975, which ends up beating that revenue, and we end up beating that, and then on top of that, we see Chime bringing us $33 million, I see a high chance that we end up getting above $1 billion in revenue this quarter. Like, Tanner, talk about Nvidia and how the world hates it for no reason. I did like an hour on Nvidia. So just scroll past this conversation. If you scroll in the timeline and you're looking for charts, I was on Fiscal AI looking at Nvidia's charts. Go ahead and look for that really quick. But yeah. And then someone said here, which I actually don't think is a wrong statement, financials are difficult. But honestly, I think financials are going to have a phenomenal year, and not just SoFi, but I really do think all financials are going to do very well. The JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, the Morgan Stanleys, I think everyone's overlooking these names. You know, we're having rate cuts. We're having an IPO boom. Discord's about to go public. We have talks of SpaceX and Anthropic and all of these names. This is the amount of money that these investment banks are going to make on those names is insanity. Okay. We're probably going to see the biggest IPO year that we've seen in probably the last 3 or 4 years. That's going to do very well for financials. SoFi will benefit from that as well. But I think this is going to be a great year for SoFi. All right, let's switch this back to quarterly. Whenever I took a look at the website traffic as well, which was in my last video, which didn't get a lot of views. I don't know why it was so different than my other videos, but I was showing off the website traffic for not only SoFi, but also Robinhood and names like this. And look at this, by the way, the further you scroll out, it's just constant growth. Constant. It's phenomenal. But what was I saying? Sorry. What was I literally just saying? I got distracted. Oh, website traffic. The website traffic for SoFi indicated a much, much higher, the fastest growth that we've ever seen in new visits for Q4 versus Q4 of last year. Topped with the Chime $33 million deal, topped with the new Galileo deals that we've also signed with, AT&T and T-Mobile and all those other companies, which they said approximately is going to be around 10 plus new deals. I have high expectations for this company. I think that we could see originations skyrocket. I'm a believer. And margins have increased so substantially on contribution profit for SoFi that every new dollar that we do see, if we continue to grow rather than in the 20%, 25 or even 30%, and we're starting to hit traffic that's 40+%, and we can really hit those numbers again, then, every new dollar at even higher and higher margins, that is that's exactly what you want to see. You know, I'm aware it might be falling while I'm watching it, but I'm looking fundamentally at the company. So, you know, one day on this business, as we go down to, you know, $27.30 roughly, this is not making my mind up about the company. What's making my mind up about the company is following the statistics that we have here. Someone also said in the chat, not that financials were difficult, but someone said their balance sheet looks funky. I don't think it looks funky. I think they're raising a ton of capital, and they have so much capital to do whatever they want with now. And if you don't think that Anthony Noto and Chris Lapointe are good stewards of your capital, like, for real, I don't know. I don't know what got us from $5 up to 27 in the first place, or to 32. But yeah. Debt shouldn't increase revenues. That is a finance company. That's what they do. That's what a mortgage is. That's what a personal loan is. You know? SoFi mantra is next quarter is the one. No, 2025. That's a funny statement, because I do always say this. But like, we're acting like we didn't go from 5 to 27. Like look at this. I wasn't even buying over here. I'm not an IPOE investor. You know, you can look at the last 3 years, and like in the past 3 years, look at this, 465% up in 3 years. My original purchase price was $14, and then I started heavily buying as it continued to fall. And then whenever, you know, we got to the $4 area, you know, my average was about $7.30 as I had continued to buy on the way down. Now on the way up, I continue to buy because I continue to see higher and higher prices. But that's like the idea that this company is underperforming or not doing well for our portfolios is like crazy talk now. I remember having to fight off these arguments back whenever the company was $7. Like, what are you guys even talking about? Like, every single person that bought back whenever I was talking about it at this price, like, we're all rich. Like, no one has been complaining to me going, Tanner, I only made 200%. What are you talking about? Like, the people who have been here, we're living comfortably. So, yeah, next quarter is it for me. I think 2026 is going to continue, because it's just as the same charts that I was just showing you. You know, here, wait. Lending, technology, financial services, corporate revenue. Let's stack this up. And honestly, we don't even need corporate revenue, but it'll just put into perspective, you know, why whenever you see certain bumps, whenever you see little declines, stuff like this. But by the way, the product, let me take off corporate revenue. It's taken away from my eyes. The product line that's not only growing the fastest, but has the best margins. So look at this. This is why, by the way, here, wait, will I have to do this? I have not even seen if this is how this works. Yeah, that's not doing what I want it to do. I might need to create the margins myself as a custom metric, unless I've already done that previously. Oh my God, I've already done it. Oh, Tanner, you beautiful man. Okay, so let's go through here and let's look at this. Let's play around for a sec. As you can see, even if we don't stack them, lending is in this sort of teal, like SoFi color, right? And it's done well. We've continued to grow over time. But the real grower here, and technology is in orange, They've done nothing. And that's why no one cares about technology. And anyone that says that they're investing in this company for Galileo, it's like you're investing in the wrong business. In purple, financial services, this is the credit cards. This is the, checking accounts and invest accounts and SoFi Relay and all of these ones. And not just SoFi, like we're not talking about products here. We're talking about straight revenue. So this has climbed up more and more and more faster than any other product. And to me, looks like it's on track to be their biggest segment in the company. Okay. Now, if we go ahead and look at percent change, let's quickly look at this. So, and let me zoom in because I want to take out some of those big ones. But financial services is growing last quarter at 76%. All these quarters before this is 100%, 100%, 100%, 80%, 85, 100, 100, 200. Like it's growing big on bigger and bigger numbers. Okay. Versus lending that's growing at 24%. And then underneath that, technology platform, which still continues to grow at 11%, but nothing nearly as good as financial services. The worst part would be if the thing that's growing the fastest has the worst margins and the thing that's growing the slowest has the biggest margins. That would be bad. Let's go ahead and have a look. I'm so condescending, and you guys already know the answer. These should be looked at not as a ratio, but as a percentage. So this is how you create custom metrics in Fiscal AI. You just like write what you want as the metric, then you can divide it out by this, which would be financial services contribution margin, which should be a percentage. This should be a percentage as well. And this should be a percentage. My bad. I set it up wrong. Okay. If we then look at those three, and we will remove financials. Okay, wait. So let me actually take this away and do this the way that we had it set up before. So lending was blue, financial services was orange, and financial services was purple. Okay. So over time, whenever we originally set up financial services, this was a terribly, not a profitable product, okay? And so the margins were terrible. But now, as we get closer to where we are before, the margin on financial services has skyrocketed from being the worst product. Let me actually go one quarter back. Yeah, look at this. It's gone from being at 3% margins back in September of 2023 to now actually being the highest margin product and the fastest growing by a long shot in the entire business. Lending had slightly fallen below, and the part of the business that's growing the slowest also has the worst margin. This is why I like this company so much. All eyes on financial services. That's what matters here. Loan platform business, credit cards, checking account, invest accounts. And all of those are expected to do great numbers in 2026. Are you hurting on, credit cards now that we've just expanded our credit from 1 card to 4 cards? Do you think that's going to grow slower? Heck no. Do you think it's going to grow slower with the loan platform business? No way. This is just phenomenal. So, really, really like this. I think SoFi is well positioned. So whenever people say next quarter, yeah, look at the margins. Look at the margins, big fella. All, by the way, done with Fiscal AI. Now, I used to work with Fiscal AI just as an affiliate. And you guys made me one of the largest affiliates on their platform because it's an amazing service. But then I actually went to them and I said, let's work together. So now, if you guys do, you go to futureinvesting.pro, you can actually get Fiscal AI Pro for free with the purchase of the membership now, which is just one-time purchase. You get a whole year of Fiscal AI Pro and then 50% off every year after that. There's no other way to get that for Fiscal AI Pro. That's the cheapest that you can get Fiscal AI. It's absolutely incredible. Are we at all-time highs? Oh, wait, let's see here. Wow. This right here marking the 695.23 was an all-time high for the SPY. QQQs, not quite a high for the triple Qs, but close, definitely. But SPY, all-time high on the S&P 500 today. Back on 253. Trump's live with oil and gas representatives. Okay, we'll go check it out. We'll check it out. Okay, here.
Who the hell is Chris Wright? He said he's the most talented oil man anywhere in the world. I doubt you can get him because typically oil men make a lot of money, and women.
I'll try to find a louder stream.
They make a lot of money, but Chris came. You took one of the greatest salary cuts probably in history, Chris, right? But he's a fantastic person, loves our country, and many other important members of this team. And I want to thank them for their efforts. As you know, last week, the United States Armed Forces performed one of the most spectacular military operations in American history, apprehending the outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro for his crimes against the United States, crimes for which he has now been.
I've got a louder stream here. Here we go.
But he's a fantastic person, loves our country, and many other important members of this team, which he has now been indicted and is in federal court awaiting trial. And he killed many people, millions of people, actually, and allowed jails, prisons, mental institutions, insane asylums, drug dealers, drug addicts to pour into our country totally unchecked because of Sleepy Joe Biden's policy of open borders, the stupidest thing I've ever seen. We're getting them all out. The departure of Maduro makes it possible an incredible future for both nations, Venezuela and the United States, in which we will more closely integrate the economies of two major energy powers in the Western Hemisphere. Energy coming out of Venezuela was very small. One of the things the United States gets out of this will be even lower energy prices. We have people now getting gasoline for $1.99, $1.96, $1.95, $1.92 yesterday, somebody. And it used to be $3.50, $4, $5 a gallon. Think of that, $1.99. Decades ago, the United States built Venezuela's oil industry at tremendous expense with American skill, technology, know-how, and dollars. But those assets were stolen from us, and we had presidents who did nothing about it. This president is much different than your other presidents. They did nothing about it. They stole it. Some of the people in this room were a little bit younger when that happened, but not that much younger. It wasn't that long ago. But they stole our assets like we were babies, and the United States did absolutely nothing about it. So now we're doing everything about it. Now we're doing 500% about it, but it's a long time after the act took place. So they stole from us, and it was taken by socialists and communists at the time, and Venezuela was going bad, really bad. And as much oil as they have, they're producing almost nothing, which is just a system. So we're really, if you look at it, we're taking back what was taken from us. They took our oil industry. We built that entire oil industry. Started a long time ago, but they took it, and they were very ungracious to this country. But now they're being very nice. American companies will have the opportunity to rebuild Venezuela's rotting energy infrastructure and eventually increase oil production to levels never, ever seen before. When you add Venezuela and the United States together, we have 55% of the oil in the world. The United States is number one. We have them drilling. Drill, baby, drill was my campaign. And Doug and Chris, I think we're setting records on drilling right now and taking oil without Venezuela. That's how we're getting the oil prices down. The plan is for them to spend, meaning our giant oil companies will be spending at least $100 billion of their money, not the government's money. They don't need government money. But they need government protection and need government security that when they spend all this money, it's going to be there so they get their money back and make a very nice return. The plan is for them to spend at least $100 billion to rebuild the capacity and the infrastructure necessary. Venezuela has also agreed that the United States will immediately begin refining and selling up to 50 million barrels of Venezuelan crude oil, which will continue indefinitely. We're all set to do it. We have the refining capacity. It was actually based very much on the Venezuelan oil, which is a heavy oil, very good oil, great oil. It's fantastic for certain things like asphalt roads, best there is in the world for asphalt roads and other things. All of the companies here today are going to be treasured partners in bringing the nation of Venezuela back to life, restoring its economy and generating great wealth for their companies and for their people, and also great wealth for the American people and tremendous wealth for the companies that are going in. The companies that are going in, and if you don't want to go in, just let me know, because I got 25 people that aren't here today that are willing to take your place. So I just want to thank, these are people that I either know or I know of by reading lots of business magazines and journals and papers. These are the greatest oil people anywhere in the world. Harold Hamm, I see, is here. Harold, you know, there's a story about Harold Hamm that he could look at a piece of land, put a straw into the land, and oil pours out. Is that true about you? Whereas some of you guys have to invest hundreds of millions of dollars to find that oil. So we can't let that story be true. But they say Harold puts a straw into the land and oil comes gushing out. So you're not a big R&D person, are you, huh? He's called instinct for oil. Now, he's got other problems, but we won't talk about those problems. But he's been a great supporter of mine for a long time, haven't you, Harold? So congratulations. But we have, and I think Harold would agree, we have the greatest oil men and women anywhere in the world sitting in this room right now. And we have a lot of people that will be back to see us sometime next week. We're going to have another meeting for another group. But we're going to do this very quickly. We can have this done almost immediately. So I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to invite Vice President Vance to say a few words, followed by Secretaries Rubio, Burgum, and Wright. And then we'll have a few words from representatives that are here and to discuss their ideas, a couple of them. We have Chevron, which has been, where's Chevron? Where are you?
Yeah, far right.
No, I thought you'd have a better location. You were the only one that was there for all that. I used to call you and say, what the hell is going on with Venezuela? He stuck it out. I don't know if you made money or not, but you stuck it out. I got to give you a lot of credit for that. Mark Nelson, thank you very much. Exxon CEO Darren Woods. Darren, thank you very much. How's Exxon doing? Okay. They'll do a lot better now, won't they, huh? Exxon's been amazing. It's been an amazing company. And ConocoPhillips CEO Ryan Lance, thank you very much. So you guys could say something, and then we'll take some questions from the press. And if anybody else would like to speak, we'll have you speak. We have all the time in the world. This is a big subject. This is massive wealth. And more importantly than massive wealth, it leads to lower taxes and a lot of jobs for Americans and for Venezuelans, but for Americans in this case. And I just, again, appreciate you all being here. And I'd like to ask JD to say a few words, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks to everybody for being here. You know, as a Marine Corps veteran for my entire lifetime, presidents, and let's be honest, they were Democrats and Republicans, would send the American military to far-off places. They would get us involved in these endless quagmires. They would lose hundreds or thousands of American lives, and the American people would get nothing out of these misadventures. And now you have an American president who's empowered the American military to stop the flow of drugs into our country and to ensure that we, as opposed to our adversaries, control one of the great energy reserves that exist anywhere in the entire world. And he did it without losing a single American life in the process. It was an amazing operation. It's going to make our country richer. It's going to make our country more powerful. It's going to make our country safer. And it's going to lead to the further decline of drug overdose deaths in the United States of America. An amazing thing. And I'm happy to be here to talk about how we can make it an even bigger and better operation for the American people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Marco?
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think this is a reminder that everything this president does, everything President Trump does is with the American people in mind. It was not in the national interest or national security of the United States and of our people to have in our own hemisphere a country, not just with vast energy reserves, but controlled by an indicted narco trafficker who flooded our country with illegal immigration, including drug gang members, openly cooperated with drug gangs, and by the way, stole the wealth of that country to fund a repressive regime and also benefit adversaries such as Iran. All of that is now changing. As part of this process, the first phase, of course, is the phase we're in now, which is the stabilization phase. We do not want to see destabilization in the country. We're working very cooperatively with the interim authorities there to provide a market for the sale of the wealth of Venezuela in such a way that benefits the people, both of the United States, but also the people of Venezuela. And as a reminder to everyone, the president announced this just 2 days ago. Every penny, everything they buy with the money that they're making from the oil now, Mr. President, will be bought from America. And that includes everything from equipment for the oil industry to food to medicine and everything in between. The second will be a phase of recovery. And then some of these phases will overlap. And that is to have a normal economy again, where the money goes to the benefit of people, not the benefit of our adversaries or the benefit of elements in that country and around the world that are against our interests. At the same time as a process of reconciliation has to happen internally among the different sectors of society and politics and the like. And finally, the third phase, which is the most important of the three, is when the country fully transitions into a normal country that we have strong economic and diplomatic and relations with, that is friendly towards the United States, that's not a foothold for our adversaries, that serves our interests, but also the interests of the people. It'll be a country that is wealthy, a country that is prosperous for the people, not for a handful of criminals, but also a country that is supportive of our interests in the region and throughout the world. And we thank you, Mr. President, and the team you've assembled that have brought us to this point. A lot of work remains, important work, but this is historic.
Okay. Thank you very much. Doug?
Well, Mr. President, I want to thank you for your leadership, not just as president, but as commander-in-chief. The boldness, the execution, the breathtakingly precise work that you've delivered both in Iran back in June and here has changed the field for the whole world. And you always ran about the idea of peace and prosperity. And in Venezuela, as you know, this was a playground for every bad actor in the world. We had Russians, or Iran, terror groups, all of them profiting from this criminal organization that was pretending to run the country. That makes America safer. You've secured the border. We're stopping the flow of drugs. And now with the normalization of relationships on an economic basis, it's going to mean tremendously for the prosperity of the American people. So I just want to say again, congratulations to you and to the entire leadership team. It's been an amazing, historic week on the scale of things that we haven't seen perhaps for 125 years in terms of the U.S. Exerting its influence over Latin America in a way that's going to make a change for generations. And on behalf of all the oil executives that are here today, Chris and I want to say thank you to all of you. It's your technology, your innovation that has put America in the place where today we are the most energy dominant country in the world. And that position is what's allowed us to take the action that we're taking with statecraft, with military action. None of that would happen if we were dependent on everybody else for energy. So you're a big part of the reason that we're able to move the way we are today. And we're grateful that you're here to be part of the solution going forward.
Thank you, Doug. And you are doing a fantastic job, and we appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. They know who's doing well. Chris Wright?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, what we've seen in the last week is leadership matters and credibility matters. Venezuelan oil has been sanctioned for many years, and the oil just flew, those sanctions were not enforced. That oil just floated out to trafficked by bad actors of the world, that resources weren't gone to a central place. The corruption and decline of Venezuela has been a crisis for the people of Venezuela. And as Secretary Rubio said, massive spillover effects in the United States. in crime, in drugs, in kidnappings, and in taking a huge resource base and making it not exploited, not developed. The whole world is a poorer, less opportunity-rich place because of that. When you have materials underground, they've been underground for 1 million years. That does not make them a resource. That does not make them valuable for your country, your people, or the world. They only become a resource with technology, with capital, with rule of law, and a system of governance that encourages the harvesting of those resources to make the better world. And we see here the dramatic contrast between the United States, which may have less oil underground than Venezuela. We have 20 times the production of Venezuela, 20 times the impact of human betterment, massively better quality of living here in the United States. That was at risk under the last administration. We've seen a lot of attacks on the energy that makes the world go round. President Trump's election has removed those risks, has embraced reality about how the world is energized. And we are at record production of oil in the United States, record production in natural gas in the United States. We've seen a meaningful decline in gasoline prices, diesel prices, travel prices because of jet fuel. And now President Trump is taking the genius of a different way to try to solve a 25-year festering problem in Venezuela, that all the traditional things have not worked. But ordering both a tremendous military operation to remove the heads of a criminal organization masquerading as a government, and then to use the power of our military, not to fire bullets, but to stop the flow of Venezuelan oil to the world, immediately gave us leverage over the interim authorities in Venezuela and has allowed us to be in this position today where the actions of this government can massively improve Venezuela for the better. And the bigger impact is to massively improve the quality of life, affordability, safety, and security of the United States. Very proud to be here. And we'll turn it over to Mark Nelson, who's the vice chairman of Chevron. Chevron has been in Venezuela for over 100 years continuously. Mike Wirth, the CEO, had a knee replacement recently. He's not here. Mark is a tremendous leader in our industry, and I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Secretary Wright. Again, I'll send Mike Wirth's regrets. He really wanted to be here, Mr. President.
Right. Great guy.
On his behalf, I have 3 very quick thank yous and an assurance I'd like to provide you all. The first thank you, Mr. President, is to you. It's thank you for convening this gathering. It's thank you for your leadership, and thank you for continuing to keep American energy domination in the forefront. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
The second thank you actually is to the cabinet. So Secretary Rubio, Secretary Burgum, Secretary Wright, your ability and commitment to continue to engage with the parties around the table to keep the world working is greatly appreciated. So thank you for that. And the final thank you actually would go to our Venezuelan employees of Chevron. They have been working tirelessly to operate safely, protect the environment in country, and their dedication and skill will help us in this next chapter. And finally, I'll close with the assurance. For more than a century, Chevron has been a part of Venezuela's past. We are certainly committed to its present, and we very much look forward as a proud American company to help it build a better future. And so, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership.
And you really suffered there. You stuck it out. A lot of people left. A lot of big companies left. Many of the people sitting at this table left because of the safety risk and other risks. But you stuck it out. I give you credit for that. Sometimes it was hard. I remember 6 months ago, I told you to stay, just stay. Things are going to happen. You'll be very happy. I didn't know they were going to happen this fast or this conclusively. One thing I think everyone has to know is that if we didn't do this, China or Russia would have done it. And if China or Russia were a next door neighbor, because essentially this is not around the other parts of the world so far away where you fly in an airplane for 24 hours before you get there. This is sort of a next door neighbor if you think about it. And I told China and I told Russia, we get along with you very well. We like you very much. We don't want you there. Not going to be there. And if we didn't do this, China would have been there and Russia would have been there. Maybe they both would have been there together, but they're not going to be there now. One thing I will tell them, and I will tell you, that we are open for business. China can buy all the oil they want from us there or in the United States. Russia can get all the oil they need from us, and they do like oil, even though they produce a lot of it. But China and Russia and everybody else is able to go, and we'll be open for business almost immediately. I have a feeling the $100 million will be spent $100 billion will be spent very, very rapidly by these very big, powerful, and rich companies. And I think they're going to be able to rebuild the infrastructure. And I hope it's going to be brand new as opposed to a rehab, because I know the tremendous difference between the new and the not so new in your industry. The new is much more beautiful, much better in every way, and actually much smaller. It's like everything else, gets smaller and stronger. It's a combination of smaller, better, and stronger. So I hope you're going to build all brand new stuff, rip out the old crap that's been there for so many years, and do it the right way. You're going to be there a long time if we make a deal. If we make a deal, you're going to be there a long time. If we don't make a deal, you won't be there at all. It's, sort of interesting. But again, China and Russia would have been there if we didn't do this. And the other thing people ask about the second wave, I don't think it's going to be necessary. We have an armada, a giant armada like nobody's ever seen in that part of the world. And it's stationed off the coast. And we are getting along so well with the people that are involved and representing Venezuela that I don't think we're going to have any, I don't think it's going to be necessary to do the second wave. We were planning on a second wave, but the first wave was so powerful and so good and so strong. And frankly, the people in the country, they did the right thing. They were smart. They did the right thing. They didn't want to go through a second wave, but we've got a tremendous number of the most powerful ships in the world right there. I don't think we're going to have to use that. I'm happy to say that. I don't think we're going to have to use that at all. If I could ask Chevron, you did a great job. I want to thank you. And ExxonMobil, if you would say a few words, and then followed by Conoco, great companies, massive companies, great companies. Exxon, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the invitation and the opportunity, frankly, for the entire industry to show up and provide a perspective. Frankly, we've been kind of unresponsive to the press regarding Venezuela. I guess today's the opportunity to address the press directly with respect to a number of questions that have been asked of ExxonMobil. First and foremost, obviously, is the interest that we have in Venezuela. And I think, the way I would position that, I think one of the reasons why we see many of the industry players here is we're in a depletion business for a product that is in great demand and will be in demand for many, many, many decades to come. And as a depletion business, the biggest challenge we have is finding resources. There's an opportunity in Venezuela with all the resources there is we don't have that challenge of finding, we have the challenge of developing those resources. So I think it's in the best interest of these companies and frankly society as a whole for the industry to be interested in understanding what the opportunity here represents. I'll just share a philosophy that ExxonMobil has when we enter countries, because we do business all around the world in a number of different regimes. We take a very long-term perspective. The investments that we make span decades and decades, so we do not go into any opportunity with a short-term mindset. There's a value proposition that we have to meet. It has to be a win-win-win proposition. Obviously, it has to be a win for the company and our shareholders and to generate a return for the investments that we make. It has to be a win for the government. The resources are an important source of revenue that helps support the people of the places that we do business. And it has to be a win for the people. We have to be wanted there and to be a good neighbor. And those three things ensure a stable, long-term platform for the large investments that we make for the long term. With respect to Venezuela in particular, we have a very long history in Venezuela. In fact, we first got into Venezuela back in 1940s. We've had our assets seized there twice. And so you can imagine to re-enter a third time would require some pretty significant changes from what we've historically seen here and what is currently the state. If we look at the legal and commercial constructs and frameworks in place today in Venezuela, today it's uninvestable. And so significant changes have to be made to those commercial frameworks, the legal system. There has to be durable investment protections, and there has to be a change to the hydrocarbon laws in the country. We're confident that with this administration and President Trump working hand in hand with the Venezuelan government, that those changes can be put in place. And with respect to the Venezuelan government, that perspective we don't have a view on. We haven't talked to the Venezuelan government, and obviously we have yet to assess the people's perspective with respect to ExxonMobil entering the country. In the short term, there are things that can be done while these longer term issues are being worked. For us, we haven't been in the country for almost 20 years. We think it's absolutely critical in the short term that we get a technical team in place to assess the current state of the industry and the assets, to understand what would be involved to help the people of Venezuela get production back on the market. With the invitation of the Venezuelan government and with appropriate security guarantees, we are ready to put a team on the ground there. We also have a integrated set of capabilities from production to refining to trading, and I think we can be of assistance to getting the Venezuelan crude to market and realizing a market price to help again with the financial situation in Venezuela. So those are my short-term perspective that I have. I'd say maybe close with a thank you, Mr. President, for the work that you've done to secure not only the national security, but the energy security of the region. And then thank you, Secretary Rubio, Secretary Wright, Secretary Burgum, for your leadership in this matter. Thank you.
How long would it take you, Darren, as Exxon to, if we make a deal, and if we make a deal, how long would it take you to get in there and get started?
Well, the first step, this technical team, as I talked with Secretary Wright earlier this week, we started from the beginning to put the team together so that if and when it was needed, we could hit the ground almost immediately. So we can hit the ground and within the next couple of weeks, start the assessment. And then from there, we need to understand.
That's what we want. We want speed and quality. That's what we want. Thank you, Darren. And Conoco, Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate the opportunity to be here too. And you've assembled a great team, and our congratulations as well for removing one of the terrible people in the world and bringing them to justice. It was quite amazing. I think you've given hope to the people of Venezuela again, which I think is quite remarkable. And we've been on the other end of that despot regime a long time. Our assets were expropriated. I had a little bit more hair when that happened. And you know, I think we're the largest non-sovereign credit holder in Venezuela today. So we're at a bit of different situation, but I think your big and bold idea to use energy commerce instead of conflict is something that could make a real big difference in Venezuela. And our company certainly stands ready to help in that endeavor. Encourage you to continue to think bigger and even bolder. And we've had some discussions with your energy team about that as well, as we think about the other people that need to be in this room and in this discussion are the banks, and including probably the Exim Bank, as we think about how the debt needs to be restructured and the financing to deliver the billions of dollars that are required to restore their energy infrastructure. And I think as we think that big and bold, we need to be also thinking about even restructuring the entire Venezuelan energy system, including PDVSA. And I think if we can do that and think bold, there's an opportunity to be quick, fast, and restore the quality of what's happened in Venezuela, or what's been lost in Venezuela over the course of the last 25 years. So thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, and you'll get a lot of your money back. We're going to start with an even plate, though. We're not going to look at what people lost in the past, because that was their fault. That was a different president. You're going to make a lot of money, but we're not going to go back. You left a lot of money behind, I guess, huh? What number?
12 billion.
How much?
12 billion.
Well, good write-off.
It's already been written off.
It's been written. All right, thank you, Mary. You'll make it back one way or the other. You're all going to do very well. I think really very well. Marco just gave me a note. Go back to Chevron. They want to discuss something. Go ahead. I'm going back to Chevron, Marco. Thank you, Marco. ahead.
Was there a question, Mr. President?
Yes, go ahead, Marco. What are you saying here?
Mark, if
big
you
increase.
can update us on operations in the ground and with the appropriate approvals, what you might be able to achieve in the next 12 to 18 months, give us a little view from the ground.
You bet. So today, Chevron has 3,000 employees in 4 different joint ventures in Venezuela today. And over the past 5 to 7 years, they've taken production from about 40,000 barrels a day to 240,000 barrels a day, essentially getting those facilities and that equipment up to standards that would be something that people in the room would be more accustomed to. Given the work we've done with Secretary Wright and Secretary Burgum and even Secretary Bessent, I think we have a path forward here very shortly to be able to increase our liftings from those joint ventures 100%, essentially effective immediately. We are also able to increase our production within our own disciplined investment schemes by about 50% just in the next 18 to 24 months. And that's just leveraging what's on the ground. So to Secretary Rubio's comments about phase 1, this is taking the momentum of improvements we've already made there locally and building on those and creating more momentum for the people of Venezuela.
Do you think you have an advantage being there? You've been there by the skin of your teeth. It's been tough for you to be there. But do you think you have an advantage over the other people in this room by the fact that you are there?
Yeah, I think there are, Mr. President, I think there would be days where it didn't feel like an advantage, and there are days where it does feel like an advantage. But having people on the ground today that care desperately about the people of Venezuela and know how to operate the assets that are there is a definite advantage today.
Would you say the best locations are available, or would you say the best locations are already sort of worked, even though they're in very bad shape? The best locations for finding oil, the best locations for oil.
There are more opportunities than not, Mr. President. With 300 billion barrels of reserves and resources in country, there are lots of opportunities for many companies.
Will you be building new, or will you be using the old infrastructure that you have?
Yeah, today it's a little bit of a mix, but today it's mostly us taking the equipment of today, getting it to the standards that we are accustomed to your comments about making it how it should be today. Most of the investments that we've been making are about getting it up to our standards.
Well, I think you're going to make an investment, but you're going to get your money back very quickly, and that's part of our thing. We're going to have you get your money back fast, and then you'll give a lot to Venezuela and to the United States after that. Okay, so you'll be in good shape. Could I ask Carol Tam to say a few words? He's been a friend of mine for a long time. Very amazing man, actually, amazing energy person.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. It's good to be here with so many dignified people. And this effort particularly, and thank you for your effort for what you've done here, taking this despot out of that area. And the world dealt with him way too long. Certainly, our industry knows that this is a real jewel that can be developed for the people of Venezuela and also benefit the world. And like Secretary Wright said, it has not been done. That's not been done in the past, and they had a good chance at it. Brought someone in that totally took it down, as everybody knows here, and that was Chavez, and we know what happened to him finally. But that ruined the industry in Venezuela, and all of us know how that happened. Ended very well, very very wrongly. So anyway, we're glad to see what's happened here and look forward for the opportunity for a lot of people in this room, but also for America and the country itself.
Are you going to be involved in going in? Because, he's in North Dakota and he's in Oklahoma and some incredible places. It's a little bit different, but there's no doubt about you won't have to worry about the straw too much here. You can just go at it. Are you going to be one of the participants?
Well, certainly, I'm an oil finder, like you said. Barry Spitzer, told that story.
The coach.
And he's kind of exaggerated a little bit. It doesn't come out quite that easily usually. But anyway, great story. I love it. But I love Barry.
Barry's the one that told me this.
Yeah.
Okay. I care less about the stories. let's go ahead and follow the market into the close. I'm not going to be staying after close. I will just watch the market into close, and then we'll probably close. Wow, I'm using that C word a lot here. But we'll watch the market end for the week. And then I'll end the stream around 4:05, somewhere around there, Eastern Standard Time. Okay. The S&P 500 ended up hitting a brand new high once again while we were live. That happened at around 3:23 Eastern Standard Time, where we ended up hitting 6,978 on the S&P 500, hoping to get that $7,000 close. Wouldn't that be nice? But we're actually going in the other direction. Happy all-time high day for those that celebrate, which hopefully is all of us. This is a win-win situation. We do not have to find losers in this market, okay? That's what dividends and buybacks and the amazing thing that makes this less of a gamble and more of a community event is that the companies that we're buying also participate in our gains as well, right? So that is the good factor. It doesn't necessarily need to be a zero-sum game. But that being said, if we can end up finding individual names, that's usually where the difference comes into play. Some of these differentiated names, like Nebius, which has been one of my new favorites, is only up 0.6% on the day, hoping to close above 100, but that is maybe a little bit of a stretch, and maybe because of some options change, maybe that will stay under $100 per share. We'll have to end up seeing, but Air Test Systems up 15% on the day. Geez, Applied Digital up 18%, nearly 19%. Open Door up 14% on the day. Bloom Energy up 11%. Where's Oklo? That one should be up as well. They got a deal with Meta earlier on. Let me get the exact details of that deal real quick. I thought I had it in my notes somewhere. Oklo and Meta had signed an agreement to advance the development of a nuclear energy campus in Pike County, Ohio, designed to scale up to 1.2 gigawatts of power. 1.2 gigawatts. The agreement includes a binding prepayment agreement to support fuel procurement, enabling Oklo to advance early project work and secure fuel, adding new, clean, reliable power to the grid without shifting infrastructure costs to existing residences or businesses. Oklo up 8.3%. Rocket companies benefiting off of some potential mortgage plays here, up 9%. Some other names that might also benefit from that. I mean, obviously you have the general finance names like JP Morgan, but SoFi as well also has quite the growing mortgage business. Down on the day. It was actually up. We hit $28.37 today to then go flying back down to under 28 to $27.46. Crazy. Trump is taking questions. Is he talking? Okay, let's see really quick. I do want to hear this.
It's the soldier population. When you have 30,000, 31,000 soldiers dying in a period of a month, 27,000 the month before, 26,000 the month before that. That's bad stuff. So, as you know, President Biden gave $350 billion to Ukraine to fight. And we would never get that back, although I did make a rare earth deal to get it back. So we will be getting it back, but shouldn't have done that. It was a bad thing to do. I will say that right now, because I was able to get NATO to up GDP from 2% to 5%, NATO's got a lot of money, and they're paying for everything. We're not losing any money. We're making a lot of money, I guess, if you think of it, because we're selling them military equipment. They're probably giving it to Ukraine, but we're selling them to NATO military equipment. We're getting full price and all of that, but that's not a big deal to me. What is a big deal is stopping a war where 30,000 people are being killed every single month.
Minnesota, the vice president yesterday suggested that Renee Good, who was killed by this ICE officer, was part of a broad left-wing network. What has your team told you about this broad left-wing network. Who is in charge of it? Who's part of it? What's it called?
Well, I haven't seen the vice president's statement, but he's generally very accurate. I hate to say, look, I watched that yesterday, and there are a lot of different forms to it. But there was a woman screaming, "Shame, shame, shame, shame." She was a agitator, probably a paid agitator, but in my opinion, she was an agitator, a very high-level agitator, so professional. She wouldn't stop screaming. I said, this isn't a normal situation. This is a professional troublemaker, because you heard it and I had it. Now, I will say this. The news sort of turned her down, turned her off, because you're trying to watch. She was so loud and so crazy and just not normal. When somebody sees something like that, they don't go screaming and the same words. So I guess you could say professional, but I didn't think she did a very good job. You have agitators, and we will always be protecting ICE, and we're always going to be protecting our Border Patrol and our law enforcement. Yeah.
In your conversations with these oil executives today, did you provide any security guarantees so that they can do their work safely in Venezuela? Yeah. And separately, Mr. President,
they will have those guarantees, yes.
And separately, Mr. President, I'm curious in terms of the future of Venezuela. Do you see Venezuela, now led by Delcy Rodriguez, as an ally of the U.S.? Is that the way that you view that country
right now? They seem to be an ally, and I think it'll continue to be an ally. And we don't want to have Russia there. We don't want to have China there. And by the way, we don't want Russia or China going to Greenland, which if we don't take Greenland, you're going to have Russia or China as your next door neighbor. That's not going to happen. The white.
Mr. President, thank you. You just said that these companies would have security guarantees if they go in on the ground in Venezuela.
They will have.
And what is your plan there actually for these companies and those Americans who are going to be on the ground working for these companies?
Well, there are going to be Americans. I assume they're going to be using a lot of Americans, but they're going to be using a lot of people from Venezuela and other places, I would imagine. But I would think that mostly they'll be using Venezuelan workers. They have a lot of great workers. They have a very high unemployment rate, and they have workers that are very familiar with taking oil out of the ground. Yeah.
How long do you think the Ayatollah will be in power after what we've seen play out on the ground there? When is the U.S. going to get involved now that reports of protesters being killed on the ground?
So Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. So we don't want that to happen. There have been cases like this where President Obama totally backed down. But this is something pretty incredible that's happening in Iran. It's an amazing thing to watch. They've done a bad job. They've treated their people very badly, and now they're being paid back. So let's see what happens. We're watching it. We're watching it very closely. Go ahead, please. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Do you have any comments in reaction to the recent attacks by the Syrian government alignment groups against US-backed Kurdish forces in Aleppo, Syria, which killed dozens of civilians and displacing many families? Does your administration bring peace between the Kurds and the Syrian government?
I want to see peace. Yes, I do. The Kurds and the Syrian government, we get along with both, as you know very well. They have been natural enemies over the years, but we get along both. And we want to see Syria succeed. And so far, I think they are succeeding, but this is just breaking out, and we want to see that stopped. Go ahead, please.
Colombia, Gustavo Petro, in a few weeks. Do you hope this meeting with Gustavo Petro marks a new chapter, a new beginning in the benefit of the U.S. and Colombia relations?
What country?
Colombia, with the president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro.
I had a very good talk with him yesterday, and he's been very hostile to us and to the nation and to me, called me a dictator and lots of other things. Called Biden some terrible names, far worse than he called me. But he called yesterday through people, and he wants to meet. and that's fine with me. I've made up with people also, So we're going to have a meeting with them. We had a very good conversation. The people of Colombia are incredible people. Marco would know that better than anybody because he's married to a woman from Colombia. And I don't mean Columbia University. That would be, I'm not sure. I think I like Columbia, the country, better, if you want to know the truth. The people, hold it. The people are great people. I look forward to meeting with them. We're going to meet in the very near future.
Would you meet the president of Venezuela here in the White House? Would you greet her to discuss the fate of the oil?
Yeah, well, I'm going to meet a lot of people, and we're going to meet, we meet a lot of people. When you end 8 wars, you get to know a lot of people, and I think it's very important. As an example, we have over $18 trillion. Think of that, $18 trillion coming into our country. A lot of that's coming in from foreign countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE and others. And I get to meet a lot of people, but I will be meeting with various representatives of Venezuela probably pretty soon. We haven't set that up. But the relationship that we have with the people that are currently running Venezuela is very good. We also have a young lady that received the Nobel Peace Prize. She's going to come in and pay her regards to our country, really, to me. But, I'm a representative of the country, nothing else. And she's coming in sometime next week, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. And we'll see how that is. But no, we're dealing with the people from Venezuela. We're dealing with them very well. I think they've been very smart in the way they've dealt with us, frankly, because that whole place could have been obliterated with one more strike, and we didn't want to do that.
On Venezuela and your meeting with Machado next week, if she gives you her Nobel Peace Prize, will that change your view about her running that country?
Well, I have to speak to her. I'm going to have to speak to her. She might be involved in some aspect of it. I will have to speak to her. I think it's very nice that she wants to come in, and that's what I understand the reason is, because Norway is very embarrassed by what took place. They're getting decimated. Look, whether people like Trump or don't like Trump, I settled 8 wars, big ones, some going on for 36 years, 32 years, 31 years, 28 years, 25 years, some just getting ready to start, like India and Pakistan, where already 8 jets were shot out of the air. And I got it done in rapid order without nuclear weapons. I can't think of anybody in history that should get the Nobel Prize more than me. And I don't want to be bragging, but nobody else settled wars. Obama got the Nobel Prize. He had no idea why. He still has no idea. He walks around, he says, I got the Nobel Prize. Why did he get a Nobel Prize? He got it almost immediately upon attaining office, and he didn't do anything, and he was a bad president. So, you should get the Nobel Prize for every war you stopped. These were major wars. These were wars that nobody thought could be stopped. President Putin called me and he said about 2 of the wars that he's been trying to stop them for 10 years. He wasn't able to do it. He couldn't believe it. So in theory, you should get the Nobel Prize for every war you stopped. Every one of them was major. But I don't care about that. What I care about is saving lives. I've saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan came here and he made a very public statement. He said that President Trump saved minimum 10 million lives having to do with Pakistan and India, and that was going to be raging. So, but I'm honored that she's coming here. I look forward to meeting her, yes. Go ahead.
The state officials there have said that the FBI is not sharing evidence with them. Typically, they would conduct a joint investigation, as you know. Do you believe that the FBI should be sharing evidence with state officials in Minnesota?
Well, normally I would, but they're crooked officials. Minneapolis and Minnesota, what a beautiful place, but it's being destroyed. It's got an incompetent governor, fool. He's a stupid person. And it looks like the number could be $19 billion stolen from a lot of people, but largely people from Somalia. They buy their vote. They vote in a group. They buy their vote. They sell more Mercedes-Benzes in that area than almost. Can you imagine? You come over with no money, and then shortly thereafter you're driving a Mercedes-Benz. The whole thing is ridiculous. So they're very corrupt people. It's a very corrupt state. I feel that I won Minnesota. I think I won it all 3 times. Nobody's won it since Richard Nixon won it many, many years ago. I won it all 3 times, in my opinion. And it's a corrupt state, a corrupt voting state. And the Republicans ought to get smart and demand on voter ID. They ought to demand maybe same-day voting and all of the other things that you have to have a safe election. But I won Minnesota 3 times, and I didn't get credit for it. I did so well in that state every time. The people were crying every time after. That's a crooked state. California is a crooked state. Many crooked states. We have a very, very dishonest voting system. The last time I won, 24, the one that just took place, I won because it was too big to rig. You couldn't rig it. It was too big. But I won the state of Minnesota. It's a corrupt voting system with an incompetent governor, a very incompetent governor.
President.
And by the way, he's a very corrupt governor, too. Go ahead.
I have a question on Iran, but first, very quickly on Venezuela. How do you provide total security guarantees to these companies without putting U.S. boots on the ground?
Well, we're going to work with the Venezuelan leaders and people, and we're going to have a very safe group. And they're going to also bring over some security with them. You know, these are not babies. These are people that drill oil in some pretty rough places. I could say a couple of those places make Venezuela look like a picnic. These people around the table, these are tough people. They go into areas that you wouldn't want to go. They go into areas that if they invited me, I'd say, no, thanks. I'll see you back in Palm Beach. No, this is a tough group of people. They know how to do it. But we are, in addition to that, we'll have very good security for them. We're going to make sure there's very, very good security. And I think the people of Venezuela are going to give you very good security. You know, the people... Now, I'm not talking even leadership. The people of Venezuela are going wild over this. They named a street after President Trump. What do? You attack a country and they name a street? That's never happened before. Although I heard that's also taking place in Iran. They named a street. The protesters. I just hope, just God bless them. I just hope the protesters in Iran are going to be safe because that's a very dangerous place right now. And again, I tell the Iranian leaders, you better not start shooting because we'll start shooting too. With your glasses, sir, go ahead, please. Hold it. Next to you. Yes, glasses. The gentleman with the glasses.
All right, thank you, Mr. President.
With those very big glasses, actually.
Yeah, Ferrari, actually. Mr. President, I have 2 questions. What do you want the European Union to do in Ukraine? The European leaders seem pretty divided on Ukraine. And then if you can reiterate this straight message that you have to the Iranian leader, to Khomeini, the message that you have.
You're talking about Iran?
Oh, Iran, yeah.
What
the
do
first
I
one
want
is on
Iran
Europe.
to do?
I'm sorry?
Where are you from?
Italy.
Oh, nice place.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first question
So
is
what
on
are you
Europe.
asking about Iran for?
Well, if you can answer about Europe and what you think the Europeans should do on Ukraine, and then a message.
Well, look, Europe has been doing so much for Ukraine, but it hasn't been enough. And obviously that I would say that President Putin is not afraid of Europe. He's afraid of the United States of America, as led by me. There's no fear of Europe. Europe's fallen behind, and Europe, and JD said it very strongly. I don't know. He took a lot of heat, but I didn't give him any heat. Europe is a different place. Europe is changing. Europe has got to get its act together. I love Europe. I guess I came from Europe, essentially. I have my roots are in Europe, but Europe is a different place. They have to get their act together. Now they've said they have a great NATO leader, and they've gone up to 5% from 2% GDP. That's a big step. But they have to be very careful with their immigration policy, and they have to be because, I will just say, to be nice, that there are certain places in Europe that are very important that are no longer recognizable. I'm being very nice. I'm being very diplomatic when I say that. They are not recognizable. And they have to be careful on energy because they're putting windmills all over the place and losing a fortune. They're destroying their country. They're just destroying the beautiful landscapes, the beautiful everything. They're doing. And by the way, in case you people don't know, I'm not much of a windmill person. I can proudly say, Doug, that we have not approved one windmill since I've been in office, and we're going to keep it that way. My goal is to not let any windmill be built. They're losers. They lose money. They destroy your landscape. They kill your birds. They're all made in China. And all you have to do is, just about all of the windmills are made in China, the structures. All you have to do is say to China, how many windmill areas do you have in China? So far, they're not able to find any. They use coal and they use oil and gas and some nuclear, not much, but they don't have windmills. They make them and sell them to suckers like Europe and suckers like the United States before. They are the worst form of energy, the most expensive form of energy, and in 8 years, they're rotted out anyway. Go take a look at Palm Springs, California, and take a look at what that looks like. It looks like a junkyard of steel. So we don't approve, and I've told my people, we will not approve windmills. Maybe we get forced to do something because some stupid person in the Biden administration agreed to do something years ago. We will not approve any windmills in this country.
On Venezuela, is it ultimately more important to you to establish stability there or democracy there?
Well, you're talking about maybe the same thing. I mean, you're talking about stability or democracy. I don't know. To me, it's almost the same thing. We want stability, but we do want democracy. Ultimately, it'll be democracy. Peter?
I do have a policy question, President Trump, but I'm having a hard time seeing here. I see the American flag lapel pin. What is the other lapel pin on your
Somebody gave me this. You know what that is? That's called a happy Trump. And considering the fact that I'm never happy, I'm never satisfied. I will never be satisfied until we make America great again, but we're getting pretty close, I'll tell you what. This is called a happy Trump. Somebody gave it to me. I put it on.
Thank you. And the policy question. How much money are you thinking of giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. I'm sure we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger. There are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way. Please, go ahead, ma'am.
Mr. President, why is it so important to you to own it when you have a military presence there, which you could expand to affect the security?
Because when we own it, we defend it. You don't defend leases the same way. You have to own it. And, with a nation, look at what happened with Obama with that horrible deal they made with Iran. It was a short-term deal. It was like a 9-year deal. Countries can't make 9-year deals or even 100-year deals. Countries have to have ownership. And you defend ownership. You don't defend leases. And we'll have to defend Greenland. If we don't do it, China or Russia will. Not going to happen. We are not going to have, and I like China. I like Russia. I love the people of China. I love the people of Russia. I get along very well with President Putin, but I'm very disappointed in him. I get along very well with President Xi. I'm going to go over to China in April, but I don't want them as a neighbor in Greenland. Not going to happen. And by the way, and NATO's got to understand that. I'm all for NATO. I saved NATO. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have a NATO right now. But we're not going to allow Russia or China to occupy Greenland, and that's what's going to happen if we don't. Go ahead.
Mr. President, one, can you respond to that? And two,
It was an amazing report. The most amazing thing is government jobs are way down, and yet the unemployment or the employment numbers are very good. We've gotten rid of tremendous numbers of federal government jobs. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And yet the employment numbers are very good. They're really getting better. But now we have all those people to work in the private sector for a lot more money. I think that's one of the very big things. The other thing is at 5.4%. And remember, this is after we had a shutdown. And that shutdown had an impact because the concept of the shutdown, even though it's before, people knew we were going to be shutting down. A lot of bad things happened. And by the way, on January 30th, you may have another shutdown. We'll see what happens. But I think the numbers, Caitlin, were really amazing. Look, to think about 5.4%, nobody thought that. They thought it was going to be 2%. And you know what it is? It's tariffs. And it's also November 5th. We had a great election, a great election. Our country was dead 1.5 years ago. And now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I hope you guys were impressed. 5.4%. And we haven't even really transitioned yet. There's no reason it can't be much, much higher than that. Yeah.
First off, can you respond to the manufacturing
Let's
numbers?
give CNN a chance. You know, they've been fighting so hard to get back into the mainstream.
Mr. President, you posted some numbers actually on Truth Social last night. People saying you posted the job data early when you're not supposed to obviously share it till the next morning. Did you do that on purpose?
No, I don't know. If they posted them, I said post them whenever you get a chance. I don't know. They gave me some numbers. When people give me things, I post them. But the numbers are amazing. Yeah, please.
Administration plan to distribute the money from the Venezuela oil sales? Is it obviously you say it's going to go into these controlled accounts?
Yeah.
Would it go back to Venezuela in a
Yeah.
direct payment? Is it going through these goods? How do you plan to do that?
Well,
And
we
then I have
want
a
to make
second
sure
question.
that Venezuela can survive. You know, Venezuela needs money, and we're going to make sure that they get money, and we're going to get money, and the oil companies are going to make something for the work they do, and they're going to get back their money. We're devising a formula, but it won't be so much of a formula. It's going to be what they need. We're going to take care of what they need. There'll be plenty left over. We're going to have a lot of money left over. And the money left over is going to the United States of America, and the oil companies are going to be very happy. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Would the administration offer a backstop to these oil companies for like financial guarantees, some sort of backstop, if the country did destabilize again?
That's a very interesting question. Using the word backstop, I haven't heard that word in a long time. That was at the Wharton School of Finance I last heard. That's a good term. We ought to use it more often. I hope I don't have to give a backstop. I'm just, look, these are very smart people, the smartest people. They're not only in oil and business. These are the biggest companies in the world sitting around this table. They know the risks. I mean, there are risks. We're going to help them out. We're going to make it real easy. They're going to be there for a long time. We're going to be there together for a long, long time. And they're going to be taking the oil, and they're going to be bringing oil prices down. They're going to make a lot of money. They're going to get their money back. They're going to be safe. The people of Venezuela are going to be big beneficiaries, and the United States of America is going to be a big beneficiary for what we've done. And you know, one other thing I might say, it's also very big for national security because, again, just like Greenland, we can't have China or Russia occupy Greenland. We can't have China or Russia occupy Venezuela. And if we didn't do what we did, China or Russia would have been in Venezuela. I think I can measure. Where's Mr. Chevron? So let me ask you, they would have been there if we didn't do this. Do you agree with that?
They certainly have a lot of economic interests in country. There's absolutely no argument about that.
They were trying to be there. I mean, you know, we had a Russia, I guess sort of I call it a semi-Russian ship yesterday that we took over, and Russia decided not to defend that ship against us. It's a big movement. The ship was loaded up with oil, and we took the oil, and it came out of that port. But Russia would be there or China would be there. And we want them to be there for a different reason. We want them. Do you people agree? In particular, China, they need a lot of oil. Russia doesn't need so much, but Russia was there anyway. But I assume you agree that China would like to be doing a lot of business there by buying oil. And I want to just tell President Xi and President Putin, but more so in this case, President Xi, because they do need a lot of oil. And we are open for business in the United States, and we are open for business in Venezuela, right? Go ahead, sure.
Mr. President,
You know,
what is your
I could take questions from these people all day long. You know, they're sitting here, and generally they're very rich, very powerful, but nobody gives a damn about them. It's a sad thing. You have all that money, all that power, and look at all these crazy questions. We could do this all day long and they wouldn't be satisfied.
I have a question on today's meeting, Mr.
We'll
President.
take a few more,
I have a
though.
question on today's meeting, Mr. President.
Do you have? Let me ask you more importantly. Do you have any questions from the biggest?
Yeah, sure.
Hold it. Do you have any questions for the biggest people on earth, the biggest business people, the biggest companies anywhere on earth? Do you have any questions for these people? No. Do you have a question for them? Go ahead. Go ahead. Ask them a question.
Committed to rebuilding the oil infrastructure in Venezuela. And for the executives in the room, what do you need from the administration in order to invest?
That's a good question. Do you want to go and answer that question?
Yeah.
Exxon, small company.
I'll refer you back to the statements I made before. There are a number of legal and commercial frameworks that would have to be established to even understand what kind of returns that we'd get on the investments. So I think all the investments and the opportunity sets, I think everyone sitting around this table would have the opportunity and the know-how and the capability to make the investments. The questions will ultimately be, how durable are the protections from a financial standpoint? What do the returns look like? What are the commercial arrangements, the legal frameworks? All those things have to be put in place in order to make a decision to understand what your return would be over the next several decades that these $1 billion investments would be made on.
You know, could I do this? Because we have, again, the biggest people on the planet Earth around this table, biggest companies in the world. I'd like to just ask them to introduce themselves. We'll start from this end and go around to here. And if you have anything to quickly say, we can do that. But you want to just start right over here? These two guys, we'll leave them out because they're with us. Please.
Thank you, President Trump. John Addison at VTOL. We're
it's going to be a while. There's a lot of people in this table. Just quickly, and then I'll go. The market ended up closing. Who would have thought? It's about 17 minutes ago. Let's go ahead and take a look at the S&P 500, which ended up falling into the close, but still up on the day, 0.65%, but not closing at all-time highs. However, we did hit all-time highs today. Very, very exciting. Hopefully we end up getting to 7,000 very soon. But that's the end of the week, ladies and gentlemen. That was Friday. You know, enjoy some time with family, step away from the markets. If you guys find something interesting, though, if you're so dedicated to looking into research on some companies, message me. I'd love to hear what some of the themes are that you guys are playing into 2026. In my opinion, it's a very exciting year to be investing. Let me turn up this light a little bit. It's a very exciting year for me to be investing. And obviously, the way that I'm playing this right now is a lot of AI names. Nvidia still being by far the largest position in my entire portfolio. Over 40% of my entire portfolio is in one name, and that's Nvidia. I'm very hopeful for that company to, continue to do well. We talked about it for about an hour and a half during this stream, so you guys can scroll back a little bit. I'll try to get some chapters up later on, but yeah. I'm definitely heavy in finance, crypto, and AI. That's pretty much my portfolio as well. So, BL, we overlap a lot, my friend. But with that market close, with names like Nvidia closing down, oh, wow, we actually had quite the recovery. 0.1% on the day. We were down like a lot more earlier than that. SoFi, where did we close? Down 1%, 27.40 on the day. We're getting right back into earnings, by the way. Earnings starts, well, depends on which names you're looking at, but the main ones for sure end up starting next week, Tuesday. JP Morgan. Here, wait, sorry, one sec. Let me switch this. This is not. Okay. JP Morgan is on Tuesday, January 13th. Bank of America, Citigroup, Wells Fargo on Wednesday, the 14th. Thursday, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley. A lot of very exciting financial names Wealthfront actually is doing their first earnings after the close on Monday, the 12th. Wow, they literally just went public, and now we're going to get, some of those names immediately. Okay, very, very cool. Well, maybe I'll be live for Wealthfront earnings then, January 12th. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time. But bye for now.